Going live.
Going live.
And we're live.
We are live.
Hey, just another Tuesday.
Hashtag live.
Yeah, we're back from not a vacation, holiday. Holiday. For us in the U.S., we had Monday off yesterday. Off.
Yeah.
My liver still hurts. No, I'm kidding.
Wait, what were you doing, boss?
Wow.
Oh, I had 4 fantasy football drafts this weekend. This is
God.
fantasy
What
football
the-
draft weekend to me, not Labor Day.
How many fantasy, so I've done this before. I've done 2 teams and it was more than I could keep up with. And I got exhausted with it because I'm good for 1 or maybe 2 football games a week. And if I have to watch 6, then I'm just going to go crazy. Well, how do you do this, Brad? How do you do 4?
Because it's all pretty quick. If you actually, this is like a second job for me. I actually make a decent amount of money between fantasy football and sports betting. So, I put the research in and then I know all the stuff about my guys and I can just make the lineup changes real quick.
Okay.
Wow.
Is it more money
Not
than
that
you would
big.
make flipping burgers with the same amount of time?
I would make more than that. But yeah, I had 6 last year and that was too many. So this year I'm back down to 4.
Okay. It felt too much, started feeling too much like work to me. And I was and also the league that I was in with the Friends League was, the penalty for coming in last was real bad. So first place won some real money. And then the last place had to go sit in a Denny's for 24 hours. And,
That's
the punishment.
Whoa.
Yeah.
24 hours.
I mean, it's open 24 hours. You see some real dark stuff at Denny's at 3:00 in the morning, turns out.
Yeah, you do.
So I
Coming from the South, I've seen that with Waffle House, but it's if you eat a pancake, you can knock an hour off. So how many pancakes you eat, knock hours off.
There was a great Reddit thread years ago for a guy who it was a waffle. You lose a pancake an hour for a waffle, and he overestimated the number of waffles he could eat pretty dramatically and front loaded in a real bad way.
Oh,
and
no.
he had a rough. The back 6 hours were real bad.
Oh, that's like that's like the time I went to Ethiopian food for the first time, and I forgot the name of their, I guess, non-equivalent.
Yeah.
It is incredibly absorbent, and I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, it just sucks up the goo.
It just sucks up all water, and I was super uncomfortable after drinking a couple of glasses of water.
Yeah.
That was a very, very bad rookie mistake.
I would take 24 hours. It's been so long since I've been to a Waffle House. I would happily take 24 hours in a Waffle House. I love a Waffle House.
I also there's a special place in my heart for Waffle House.
I think the nearest one is about an 18-hour drive from me. So
I was near one this weekend, but I didn't go.
Really?
Yeah, I guess I missed out.
Oh wow.
We don't have them here in California, I think.
No.
It's definitely more of a southern thing than anywhere else. It has, as Jeff Foxworthy puts it, a marvelous lack of sophistication.
There was one I had a friend who went to a school on the top of a mountain between Nashville and Chattanooga, and at the very high point there's one exit. It's the only food for an hour in either direction, 45 minutes in either direction, and it's next to a truck stop. And that Waffle House at 3:00 in the morning was always good. It's a liminal space where magic happens. And anyway, I would go for some hash browns right now. That's all I'm saying.
How do you eat with this?
It's look
Carefully.
Yeah, go have a s'more, Elena.
No. No.
The short answer is I had pizza for lunch and my beard still smells like pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I went camping 2 weeks ago and my beard still smells like camping.
You can't wash it out like
Nope.
normal hair?
I mean, yeah, I have beard soap that it does something, but every once in a while it gets a little moist and I'm like, oh yeah, campfire. I doubt that smell.
Yeah, that one stings. Sticks.
So we in the fridge today, I found a weird Diet Coke. It's squishy.
No.
I don't know if you all can hear this coming through, but it's not fully inflated,
It's very warped.
I think there's a finger in there. That's my theory.
Are we going to do this on camera to
Should
see
I
if
open it and get a cup?
Yeah,
and
to
you
see.
haven't opened it yet, so
I don't think I'm going to drink it. I'm afraid to drink it, but I guess the damages are higher if I drink it.
You want a cup? You want to get a cup?
No,
It's
it's
like reverse Powerball.
yeah.
Powerball.
It's just flat. It's just completely flat. No fizz.
You didn't even pour it out. How do you even
That's
know?
That indicates that it's got a hole in it somewhere. I really would not drink that.
I squeezed it. There's no hole. I squeezed it as hard as I could. No leakage. That was my first thought too, Mike.
You can push out a little further for the camera to see.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You can.
Wow.
I mean, even for an aluminum can, it can lose its air tightness without losing its water tightness.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
You know what never loses its air or water tightness?
Ceramics.
Brad got Pepsi.
Are we going back to the 90s?
Boy, here we go.
The showdown between the two, the taste test.
I've got. I guess I'm on Team Pepsi over here, despite being a Southern boy.
Wow, is this an East Coast thing?
It's. I mean, the thing is, I like both Pepsi and Coke. I may actually be addicted to them, but I do the zero sugar stuff, and Coke Zero Vanilla is my absolute favorite, and they stopped making it about a year and a half ago.
What?
No.
And so this particular Pepsi Zero Sugar Wild Cherry and Cream is the closest approximation I've been able to find.
What do you think about the orange vanilla Coke Zero?
It's all right. It's not quite as sweet as the Coke Zero Vanilla, but I still think this Pepsi stuff is better than the Coke Orange Zero.
The vanilla flavored Pepsi is not the same as Pepsi Crystal, I'm thinking, right? Or is that
No, that was
different?
clear.
That was clear.
That was the Van Halen Pepsi.
But what was the taste? I don't even know what it tastes like.
The Pepsi Clear just tasted like Pepsi, kind of. It was supposed to taste like Pepsi, but it had a little bit of a weird, like a tinge, right?
Pepsi, but less so.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it's because they took what's his name out. So like I don't know. That stuff lasted like one summer, right? The clear Pepsi.
Yeah, it was super quick. Massive flop.
Yeah.
We have Pepsi at home. Pepsi.
Yeah.
Pepsi for your Pepsi?
Pepsi for your Pepsi. All right.
Yeah.
So how are the hamsters looking?
Hamsters are rolling and running.
Rolling and running.
We get nothing out of the ordinary. It's just everyone's normal today. Just we just came back from
100%.
holiday, so
Perfectly normal day.
Yeah.
Feeling more like myself after a long holiday weekend.
I had a nice a little bit of barbecue yesterday.
One more
Some fried
quick
chicken.
adjustment. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Gosh, how does you keep this from getting in your mouth?
It's a problem. You just get used to it. You learn to love the taste.
No.
Yeah. That's how it works.
If you get enough of it in your mouth, you don't have to bother brushing your teeth that day.
True.
Is this the kind of advice that's handed down from father to son?
Look,
Thanks for being the dad that I didn't have for this situation.
the question is
Appreciate you, Brad.
how do you handle the neck strategy? Do you like sometimes in the summertime I'll do a little bit of an up carve in there just to get a little airflow.
Like an undercut, like
Yeah,
like an undercut, like the way like
for the
some
beard,
like long hair people do.
like Amish it up so it's just like from the chin out.
I mean that's smart because then you get sun protection if you grow it out here. But if you you do the undercut, then you also don't have all the bulk and the
It's true.
heat.
Yeah.
Smart strategies.
Yeah. The
I'm gonna put
itchies.
that in my notes.
I'm full wild. I don't bother with any of that. When I go and getting tripped up, I get it, neatened up underneath.
Oh gosh,
but
it's my
that's
nose
as far as I
too.
go.
It's my nose.
You stop feeling so the weird thing is there's two things that are weird. One is that you stop like that part of your face just is a little bit number because it's got an extra layer between it and the world. So like you don't feel wind on your face as much anymore. The other part is that when you do shave or even if you trim it down a lot and you go outside and it's like windy or cold, you immediately feel it.
That's honestly, I have to admit, like taking out all the other talk around it, one of my favorite things about still wearing a mask most places is that it keeps my face warm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
San Francisco stays pretty cool. Let me just, like everybody else is like, oh my God, it's like 115 out here. And I'm like, it's 62 today.
It was really hot yesterday when we were at Tunnel Tops and it was like 76.
It was warm yesterday.
Yeah,
I did
very
notice that.
Yeah.
One of my issues when we could start taking the masks off again is I had gotten used to just sneezing without covering because it was under a mask.
Oh, gross.
You didn't hold, but see, the thing
we
is,
could do it just the real life again.
I don't know, man. Like I still like kind of like try to stifle it because like if you spray, it's just gross in there afterwards.
Well,
It's real gross.
And the thing for me is most of the time when I sneeze, it's because of environmental stuff. So if I was wearing a mask, I don't really sneeze a whole lot compared to like my normal, hey, I'm slightly allergic to everything all the time. So yeah, I don't know.
So instead of getting it on a mask, you get it on your beard when you sneeze.
Look, that's a whole always the number one rule of having a beard is when you go eat something, you always get a napkin. Like you never eat something without a napkin. It's vital.
Okay, so I'm going to have to be taught this too. Like, do you hold it over the beard while you're eating, or you just prepare to wipe it down?
It's just so you can wipe afterwards.
Okay, I'm just asking.
It's not like you get one of those things like they put on the
I don't
dentist
know. Like, when you have long hair, you get used to just like tying it up. One of my pet peeves. Okay, like a mini soapbox here. Like, look, I understand why they do it. That it's related to other things, but I'm a very practical person.
Yes.
And I get really irritable when I see people building PCs and they don't tie their long hair up. I'm like, how are you going to do this in any efficient manner when all this hair is just everywhere? So every time I see like Steve put his hair up, I'm like, yes, that's how it's supposed
Steve does. Steve seems like he always has a scrunchie.
Yeah, no, it's like that's why you live when you have longer hair. You just live with a hair tie on your wrist at all times because sometimes you just need to poke your face up close at something to see what's going on with it, and your hair will get in the way.
I didn't. So I kind of annoying. I had long hair during the pandemic because I figured if we're gonna live like
everyone did that.
If we're gonna live like hermits, we might as well look like one.
Everyone did that. Yep.
And it never was that much of a problem. It turns out for me.
Growing the hair out?
No. It was just always flopping around. I would look like that kid from 30 Rock. It was
you just love like the swishing feeling?
Like it's everywhere.
How long did it get though?
Like below my shoulders. It was long.
Oh.
Yeah. Dang. But then I realized I was also starting to go a little soft on the top, and I was like, oh, this is a bad look. Bald ponytail is not where I need to be in my life. So
that's why I started shaving my head too.
Yep.
I started to look like Gallagher real bad because I have curly hair.
Now that's awesome. Gallagher's rad. If you have you bring that out, you drop a watermelon. You're a hit everywhere you go.
I'd be into it, but those shirts, I would have to wear the shirts, and those shirts aren't for me.
That's true. The shirts are unfortunate.
And yes, chat, I am referring to our friend Steve Burke over at Gamers Nexus with the very luxurious hair.
He does have a mane.
Sometimes I have to. Sometimes I keep thinking to myself, like, it's like the worst question to ask, especially when I see him like at a trade show or for like something related to work. But I just want to ask, like, what's your conditioner? Like, what?
He has to have a routine, right?
How do you take care of your hair?
Right.
I mean,
or are you just one of those
that much time on it? He's got to be happy to share. I'd say ask him. Go for it.
But I'm also betting too that he's one of those like lucky. I can't say this word on air. One of those lucky son of a guns that where you can just use the 2-in-1 shampoo that does like nothing for most people and just
like
strips your hair dry, and it probably his hair is still amazing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hate people like that.
I think he's gotta get. We should have him on next around the start of April and maybe ask him about his hair care routine.
That would be fantastic.
Yes.
All right,
and that's all the Q&A we need from Steve. Just hair care and beard.
No, we don't want to talk about computer stuff. Like seriously.
All right.
When do we do the ad read?
We can do it after we come back from the intro. How's that?
Wait, ad read?
Yeah, we have an ad read.
Not an official one. It's internal ad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Self promotion.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So usually we do that. Usually.
Oh, right before the intro?
Is it you do your thing and then I do the ad read, or is it I do the ad read and then
I think you do the ad read first.
Ad read
okay.
first.
Ad read first. All right, here we go.
Okay.
I am your fill-in for your fill-in host.
Fill-in host.
I think real quick, you got a little something on the top.
Your tape is showing.
Tape is showing.
All right, it's moving. We're removing that.
There you go.
It worked when it worked, and now it no longer works.
Okay.
So what I'm learning here is, so for everyone who wants to try this, I do have some tips for you, which is one, get the toupee tape or like the
fashion tape.
Yeah, fashion. Oh God, it's in my mouth again. This fake hair is gross.
Yeah.
The texture's so weird. But the two-sided tape that's meant for sticking to skin is the way to go with this.
Yeah.
So
or super glue.
No.
Look.
No, my health insurance is good, but I don't want to have to do that.
Look, the acetone will take it right off.
Oh, thank you.
All right. All right. Hamsters are looking good. You guys ready? Okay.
Ready.
All right. Go ahead, you guys.
This week's episode of The Full Nerd is brought to you by Dual Boot Diaries. Join Linux neophytes Adam and Will as they sacrifice a chunk of their SSDs to Linux. Each week, the guys are going to share their experiences making the switch, assign some homework for next week, and take the best tips and tricks from the audience. Will you witness the thrill of victory or the agony of defeat?
Wow.
Find the Dual Boot Diaries linked in the description below or anywhere fine podcasts are found. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Downcast, YouTube Podcasts, or even Deezer.
In this episode of The Full Beard, we talk about AM4 getting extension on its life, updated security practices, and more. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 363 of The Full Beard. That's right, I have a beard today. I am your fill-in for your fill-in host, Elena Yee, and with me today on the line is co-host Brad Charkis.
Hey, how's it going? We just had our company fantasy football draft this weekend, and now Adam's scared to show his face. I get it.
That's why he put me here instead. But I got a chance to show off the beard finally. And also on the line is our wonderful colleague, keeping our site alive, Mike Kreider.
Howdy, howdy. Happy to be here.
Yee. Also next to me is one Will Smith.
Hey, Elena. Welcome. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
No Oreos today, sadly.
What? No, you had them on the table.
I know, I put
removed
them back there.
Why?
They were here for the build last week. We can't you do the same bit
I mean,
twice.
but we didn't have a beard involved for me.
I look, you're not ready to eat with those
No,
things.
I'm gonna learn. I want to learn. Oh God, it's in my mouth again.
Yeah, see,
Gross.
You can't even not eat. You can't start to eat. Like, you got to walk before you can fly, kid.
Can we try at the end?
Maybe.
There's time. All right, fine, Dad.
We'll see.
We should.
Fine.
Yeah.
And controlling the horizontals and verticals is our best dude on the job, Willis. Sorry, I love you, Alex. Nothing personal.
Wow, shout outs to Alex, I guess.
Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, I also grew out a beard just for Elena.
Yay!
Yeah, just so that we
Full
can all
beard.
match full beard today.
I have to adjust my beard again.
It's going to happen.
Oh God, it's tickling my nose now.
Yeah, so for audios listeners who should check out the live or on Discord, yeah, Elena has a beard now.
We talked about this forever. I think I started joking about this during the pandemic, maybe, because I would see the Zoom call and I was like, man, everyone on this call has a beard except for me. I feel like I'm ruining the vibe here.
Well,
and so we joked about this, and then we started talking like, what kind of beard? Which style should it be? And then here's the thing, a paradox of choice. It's hard to make a decision. So Will solved the problem for me and just brought in a beard. And I was like, I like this one. This is good. Let's go.
Well, so I've been testing the waters with you on fake beards for a couple of months now. Like, I went to Etsy and I found like fancy cosplay beards that are like $150, and you immediately were like, "Oh no, we're not. No.
No
You
one's got budget for that.
You don't want the Ewan McGregor beard from The Force Awakens or from Attack of the Clones. So
He was very charming.
I
But
looked.
no.
I looked up a Spock, evil Spock goatee.
Oh no, that's a hard no. That's a
Yeah,
hard
that's
no.
a hard pass. And then I went to Amazon, and because I'd been searching other places for beards, Amazon was like, "Hey, man, we know you like fake beards. Here's one that's $3." So I ordered that. I spent the $3. We aired it out to get the factory smell out for a week, and it looks good. It's fitting.
It's weird because I actually took a couple of selfies with it. Well, I'm going to post this to their social media feeds. I'm going to see what my friends think. This is pretty great.
Your friends are going to be look. It'll be a good conversation. But yeah, so holiday weekend, I guess we had this weekend.
We did have a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
I spent it at a pool, which I never do, and I was like, oh, this is why Brad always posts all those photos on vacation of water. I get it now. You have to understand. So for anyone who doesn't live in San Francisco, a lot of times people confuse like Northern California with Southern California, and they think all the Southern California beaches is like the universal experience in California, and it's really not. I grew up in San Francisco, which means I grew up near Ocean Beach, which means I grew up near like 50-degree water, and at the time, because there was like a lot of like dirty needles and other things on the beach, and it was a dirty beach. It was not a safe place for people to be. So the first time I ever understood why people went to the beach, because I would read about this in books and then like obviously on TV, and I'm like, that's so weird. Why do people do this? I went to Southern California to visit a relative, and they're like, we're going to the beach. And I'm like, but why? They take me and they're like, get in the water. And I'm like, but why? And I was like, oh, it's clear and it's warm and the sand feels kind of nice on my feet, not hard and coarse and gross. Oh, I get it now.
Well, so I live like a mile from Lindemar Beach, which is down south a little bit.
I mean, you're
and
still on the Pacific Ocean.
The water's still freezing cold,
Yeah.
and it's still full of sharks.
Yep.
And like it's
swirly and dark.
The beach is underneath the water. There's like rocks and
Yep.
like it's not soft
comfortable.
sand. It's like you get knocked down and you come back up with a huge gash on
Yeah.
your forehead or something.
Just bleeding.
but it's a little more beachy. But it's still like, even this weekend when it was like really hot, it's a holiday weekend and there's a bazillion people on the beach. The water's still too cold to go in for like more than just like you run in and you get it wet long enough to cool off. And you're like, oh my God, this is so cold. And you run back out.
Yep.
It's just not, it's not fun. We took my daughter to the beach a few years ago and she was like, oh, I understand why people like going to the beach now. It's the same experience you had, but she's like 9 years old.
That's actually about the same age for me too.
Yeah. She's like, I want to go to the beach. Every time we go to the beach, it's always like, it's not a fun experience because like you get there and it's either way too hot or way too cold and there's no way to fix yourself either way. So anyway.
You should at some point take her to Hawaii because that also was a trip for my brain.
No, I can't expose her. It's very important you don't expose her to things like that because then there's going to be expectations. Because I'm not like a Hawaii's trip. That's a one trip. Like we're not going back to Hawaii every year.
That's okay. I mean, kids understand that sometimes things aren't in perpetuity. It's just like it's a really good experience because it's also a mind trip. Because again, growing up right by Ocean Beach, you go to Hawaii and you're like, dang, this is nice. Like the water is like crystal clear and you walk into it, it's like bathwater warm and like the sun's like kind of an okay temperature and there's just this vast expanse of beach that's really pretty. And then you look at it and you're like, wait a second, that's the same Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, we just live on the bad side. We're on the bad side of the ocean.
And then you go home and you're like, people are like, let's go to Land's End. You're like, cool, all right, I'll take you to Land's End because you're a tourist. And you're just looking at the water and you're like, how is this? What? Man, the ocean's got some sides to it.
Have y'all also done a bonfire by the beach before?
Yeah, that was the thing in high school. But again, I was just like, it's cold. It's like really cold at Ocean Beach, man.
Yeah, I once did a bonfire in San Diego when I was a kid with my aunt and uncle, and they brought a bunch of their friends, and then one of their friends rolled in with a bunch of paperwork from his failing business to chuck it in the fire in a way that the scraps wouldn't be traceable back to him.
That took some thought.
And we, as we were leaving, I was like, he was joking about that, right? And then my aunt was like, I don't think so. I think he was probably like getting rid of some evidence there. And I was like, okay, good friends.
Okay.
Good talk, yeah.
Good talk.
Yeah.
On that note, you've been up to some stuff, not just vacation, like something that will perhaps rock your socks.
Well, look, let's not get crazy. I talked to some Andre, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name, but he's the chief software architect, I think, for AMD. And he's been working on ROCm stuff for a long time. He's one of the people that did the Catalyst driver redesign and worked on that a few years ago. And we talked about ROCm, which is their kind of it's not exactly a CUDA equivalent, but it's their underpinning for general purpose GPU compute. And we got into like how that's going. You know, ROCm's been around for like 10 years and most consumers kind of don't know about it because it was primarily for data centers and like high performance computing and like less general purpose GPU compute for a long time. So like some of the big supercomputers that run AMD hardware were using ROCm 8 years ago. So we talked about how they're leveraging the work that they've done in that space to build a CUDA competitor and build an open source stack for general purpose GPU compute and why consumers might care about that and kind of where they are. And we took some questions from the audience about how they're doing and things that they can do better. And like it was a really interesting conversation. You should definitely go watch it. Mike did a good summary on the PCWorld website if you're more a reader than a video watcher or podcast listener. And I think there'll be a podcast feed for that too at some point. It's on the Full Nerd channel though.
Yeah, it's part of our new network. So this is was it Extra Edition?
Yeah, so the idea is for longer conversations with vendors, we're going to sit down.
Interviews, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, have a place to post interviews that are not in the main Full Nerd feed where people just expect the thing that we're doing now.
Talking about beards.
Yeah, but also it's too long for like YouTube doesn't like it when you put long stuff and short stuff on the same channel these days. So like we wanted to have a place to have a long form interview that doesn't mess up the algorithm for the short form PCWorld channel, which is one of the reasons we're doing this. This may be too much inside baseball, but
I guess my question is like for somebody who's always kind of thought it more as not consumer related, like what nuggets do you think like are really worth like getting into that deep dive for? Because I think you talked a little bit about this with me, before the show started, and kind of like the open source part and other things, like anything like kind of juicy little things.
Well, so there were two things. One is that they have they built out a stack that lets you kind of run CUDA software on your ROCm stack. So if you don't want to spend the big money on an NVIDIA GPU compute machine, you can now build an AMD equivalent. And as he said, for the most part, the CUDA code will run on the ROCm stack, and like so you can port that work over. Because in a lot of cases, for like researchers and stuff, that CUDA code represents an enormous investment of time, money, and labor. So they don't want to have to rewrite all. It's not like porting. You have to port something over. It's like porting from DirectX to Vulkan or something like that. So they built a software stack that lets that happen kind of automatically, and then you can tweak the places that you need to make it as performant as it can be and stuff like that. So it reduces the workload on that, but it's not exactly turnkey all the time. The other thing is, like, I've talked to a lot of open source maintainers over the years. We did a whole podcast about that over on the Tech Pod, where we talked to people who maintain stuff like curl and OBS and these big, huge open source projects, and also a bunch of smaller open source projects. So we saw kind of that curve of open source adoption. And so, sometimes it happens really quickly, like Home Assistant and OBS happened relatively quickly. But there's a thing that happens where as more people start contributing code, more people start using something, then all of a sudden the adoption, the open source software becomes actually better than the commercial software in those spaces, the closed source software, and then the adoption skyrockets generally, right? So the trick is, can you invest enough? Can somebody invest enough in, whether it's one person who really cares in the case of OBS or Home Assistant, where they just devote a lot of time and energy to it, and then all of a sudden they hit that inflection point and it starts to explode, or can one company fund it long enough for it to get over that hump, and then the same thing happen. The flywheel starts turning, or whatever.
Like with FreeSync. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And my question for Andre, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, but who knows what the future holds, was, are they committed to funding it for long enough to get to that point? Because like having an open source CUDA alternative that's an open stack that can theoretically run on any hardware is, I think, ultimately really important for this space. Because right now, everybody who's invested a lot in NVIDIA has to be looking at those NVIDIA stacks and being like, man, we have all this code. We're in NVIDIA's shop now, and if NVIDIA keeps raising GPU prices and like stuff keeps getting more and more expensive,
everything raises in cost.
It's scary. So having open alternatives is a good thing. Anyway,
it makes me wonder with other businesses in China kind of avoiding NVIDIA GPUs now and embracing homegrown ones and AMD ones. It makes me wonder if there's an opportunity for ROCm to finally, surge.
I mean, the other thing I wonder is if their move away from the high end, because they're consumer GPUs and professional data center GPUs are still kind of separate product lines at this point. Like we talked about whether that's holding them back a little bit. He kind of danced around that one for obvious reasons. I really wonder if them backing away from the high end on consumer is ultimately going to hurt them as well, because there's nothing to compete with a 5090 right now for desktop GPU computing, and like that is a problem. I also wonder. I can't remember if I asked this or if we included it, but I'm also curious if they're going to support ROCm on other hardware. So if you can write ROCm code, and then somebody's going to build a ROCm stack for NVIDIA hardware, Intel hardware, because that, like, you need both ways, right? In order for a cross-platform stack to really make sense, it needs to work on your hardware and everybody else's hardware, and vice versa. So I don't know. We'll see. We talked about Zaluda. We talked about HIP a little bit. Both of those are kind of their translation layers. Like one is theirs, one is an open source project that somebody else has written that converts CUDA code to run on other hardware. So on AMD hardware specifically. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I found it interesting just from the perspective of it is very distant feeling, as someone who's very invested in the consumer side. But, to your point with the whole like high end thing, I'm pretty sure Brad never saw this, but I covered a news blurb, a rumor about potentially next generation of AMD cards. going for the top end again. So I'm wondering, like AMD under Lisa Su's direction, they definitely play like a longer, steadier game, right? And they're more concerned about like hitting their marks consistently, even if it's a bit slower. So I am wondering if like them taking time off from the high end in terms of us seeing something tangible is them actually working on something in the background where like there's a couple of different things tied together, so it pushes all of it at once.
Yeah. And I think, it would make sense for them to go back into the high end when they unify those two architectures at some indeterminate period of time in the future that they've kind of hinted at, but then immediately stopped talking about in any meaningful way, I think. Is that right, Brad?
Yeah, that's right. I think the hope is next gen, maybe the gen after for that UARCH, whatever they're calling it. The
UDNA or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, UDNA. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. It was an interesting conversation. If you're into this stuff, you should definitely give it a look. I also kind of want to talk about that teenage engineering case that Adam and I built a machine in last week.
Let's talk about that too before we like dive into the other topics, because I was so excited that you all got your hands on one. That was Norm, right?
Yeah, thanks to Norman Chan was in an airport in like on the East Coast at 4 a.m. when they posted that and managed to grab one for $16 shipping before it was.
Yeah, because it was quote unquote free, right?
Yeah, it was free.
So you're just paying for the shipping.
The box said $9 on it for what it's worth when we opened it, but they marked out the $9 on the website and just said free, pay for shipping. It was much better than I expected for a plastic fold together case. Like it was kind of cool. The build's really interesting. You can skip to the end if you don't care about watching the build, but we talked about it a lot. Like the motherboard snaps into it. So there's 4 posts where the screw holes for the ITX board are,
and then there's like if you snap it out? Does it work?
I don't know if I can get it back out.
That's what I was
without like I think I'm gonna have to break the case to get it out.
That's what I'm wondering. Like if you snap it out, can you snap it out and then snap something on it again?
I think it's a single use case.
Okay, good to know.
I mean, $9
makes sense.
Yeah, it was like I built an Intel machine in a 265K, and I took it home and tested it out and ran like a couple of Twitch streams off of it, and it was well, 2 things on that. One thing is that running X264 on that 265K doing software and code for the video worked great. It was like 8%, 10% CPU utilization the whole time. QuickSync crashed multiple times in OBS, which I was shocked by when I was using QuickSync for the video encode. So I got to put a call out to our Intel friends for that and maybe submit a bug to OBS. But yeah, it was. I was really pleasantly surprised by that case. It's really quiet. The plastic kind of muffles, like it absorbs all the vibrations, so there's no noise out of it at all. My only real annoyance is that the fans are friction fit. So they don't, like, you put a little rubber thing through the hole in the fan.
Oh, and then, the fan, the screws, right?
And then that has a hole in the rubber foot that goes through the screws, and you just jam that on some posts.
Yeah.
They're only 8 centimeter fan. It's only an 8 centimeter fan, and like, it's a weird size.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't just put a 12 centimeter in there, given the thing. The other thing is
it noisy though? Because sometimes the 8s can be a little like high pitched.
So we had some Silverstone 8 centimeters around. It didn't come with a fan for free. Are you kidding? You had to provide your own fan.
Sorry,
it was only $9.
Yeah, it was $9.
I didn't know if that was also made of plastic. I thought maybe they really committed to the bit.
I mean, the fans are made of plastic generally. There's some metal bits in there too, but no,
that type of plastic.
Yeah.
Gosh, this tickles.
So the other thing that was weird is the video card max length is 180 millimeters. Which is a really, really short card by modern standards.
A 2-fan one, right?
Even like we had to go back to like pre-10 series cards to find something that would fit that we had on the shelf just here. If they had rotated that board 90 degrees so that the connectors are facing up instead of to the side, you could have put a real full-size video card in there, like anything modern. So it was a weird choice that they had the board oriented, like I would have rotated the board 90 degrees and had the video card dangle down, I think, if it was my design. But anyway.
Just looking at the photos of it,
$12 for that.
Yeah.
Just looking at the photos, are you not concerned about heat coming off of the processor and like melting the plastic? I mean, even on the underside of it, that would concern me, depending on exactly what the composition of that plastic is.
Well, so we put a 265K in because it's a relatively low power consumption processor, but also the standoffs are way taller than normal standoffs because of the way the post and the snaps work. So it was like an inch. It was probably an inch of clearance behind the back of the motherboard and the plastic.
This is micro ITX. Oh, sorry, mini ITX.
Mini ITX. Yeah, I would hope. It has that 10 centimeter, the 8 centimeter fan blowing directly, or either exhausting or blowing directly onto the motherboard. We had it set to blow because there's holes throughout the rest of the case. And then the CPU cooler, we just put a little low profile CPU cooler on there, so there's plenty of room. It didn't get warm at all. Like I was pleasantly even when I was running a Twitch stream on it for 3 hours. So I'm kind of into this. Like it's nice that there's a really cheap entry level. Like ITX cases are usually kind of expensive. I'm into the idea of a almost disposable case.
Something a little more elegant than Dave Murphy's cardboard.
It's definitely better than the cardboard box from Maximum PC. I really
that thing's epic. So iconic.
Don't encourage him.
No, I want to encourage it.
No, it's a bad idea.
It's fantastic.
I don't. I hope that they continue exploring this. Like this is definitely not. You shouldn't seek one of these out or buy it or build in it. Right? It's a novelty. But
you love it, but you don't want people to seek it out.
I think it is an interesting idea, and I think like taking this kind of design ethos to a space that's usually really like ITX machines are usually really expensive, and
sure,
when you combine that with the kind of weird stuff that's happening out of China with like mobile and embedded processors being put on ITX boards. Wendell does a lot of videos about this. Like I think that there's an interesting case for something that's bigger than a NUC or a B-Link or one of those kind of small, nuclear unit of computing computers that's a little more user serviceable than that, but also isn't a $400. You're not buying a $300 milled aluminum fancy pants case.
I mean, I think that's also partially related to what market you're in. So like here in the U.S., I think that's very true.
Yeah.
But I've purchased before all the fiscal policy got weird for us. I bought a couple of cases off of AliExpress that were mini ITX cases, like a 7-liter sandwich case from I think Metalfish that produced it, and they were really pretty affordable, even with the much higher shipping, relatively speaking.
What's pretty affordable though, like $70-$80 bucks?
It was under $100.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. It's just really that mini ITX is expensive because of the board itself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I think a lot of times that's why it just kind of gets treated as more of a premium to begin with, because it's like, are you really going to pair a $150 motherboard with a $30 case kind of thing?
But the thing that I'm seeing is stuff like the N series processors from Intel that are just soldered onto boards, or low end APUs, like RDNA 3 APUs, stuff like that. And like that's a real, like I think you can build. Like I would feel weird putting a Fractal, like even a cheap Fractal Terra, which is like still $165, or a normal. Like I want something that is not as nice. I need something that's a little garbage tier.
Right. So I mean, this is actually a fantastic segue into our official topic for the day, which is AM4 Shambling, which is the combination of 5500 X3D being released in other markets outside the U.S., but also DDR4 RAM prices going up. And so I want to talk about that first part, because there's all these things that we see in other territories that are more, maybe more affordable, like meant to be more affordable, at least for that market, that we don't see in the US. And I think it's kind of interesting that, is it the market that dictates all of it, or is it also something just related to other things like, fiscal policy that we're starting to see? Because I think Brazil has like huge tariffs on things, and that's one of the reasons why it's so expensive to buy electronics there.
Yeah, Brad, you looked like you had something to say there.
Oh, it was about the last topic. I just if I was going to make my kid an awesome APU-based Fortnite machine, I'd be all over a $9 case. I could throw it in and just throw a stock fan and a APU in there.
It has a real good handle on it. Like you can...
Little LAN parties?
Yeah, like I just picked that thing up and carried it home and was like, okay, this is I'm kind of into this.
Would you trust a kid to carry a machine like that on a regular basis?
It's cheap enough with a $9 case. Yeah. I don't care.
If they drop it and want to put if they want to put a bunch of stickers and stuff on it, go nuts. Let it rip, man. I don't care. You take the PC out, assuming that's possible. Spray paint it up, whatever you want to do. It's all you, man. You do that for a Fractal mood, I'm going to be upset with you because like don't put stickers on that cloth, man. Let's I think so. The Brazil tariff thing is weird, right? Because Brazil has tariffs about like there has to be some component of assembly or packaging that happens inside Brazil, or else they charge a really high tariff for everything, which is why like Sony and Microsoft have plants there where they ship unpackaged PlayStations and then they do some final bit of assembly and then they sell them in the country. I think that's for older generations. I don't think they do that anymore. But like this feels to me like they're just taking machines that didn't bin at the right clock speeds for 5600 X3D and figuring out where they can unload the failed processors, right?
I mean, yes, but also, okay, one, I know this is not Portuguese, and two, I don't speak Spanish, so I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but ¿por qué no los dos?
Hi.
Why not both?
Oh, I mean, that's the question. Thank you, Brad.
I thought it was meme. Like, have you not seen the memes at this point? I thought you would have known by now. Sorry.
I'm too old for memes, Elena.
Oh, jeez.
That's from like a 25-year-old commercial. It's Old El Paso.
Thank you.
Look. So I have big commercial gaps from like 1998 to about 2010 because we had a TiVo, which was
I
the
knew
way
you were
you
going to
never
say
watched
it.
commercials.
I knew you were going to say TiVo. I knew you were going to say it.
So I don't like from the Was Up Frogs until like
my
I don't know when male enhancement ads started being on TV. I don't know anything. I got nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was not the Was Up frogs. The Budweiser frogs were distinct from the Bud Light
yeah.
Was Up.
Yeah, you're right. It was
an
the
important distinction.
Budweiser and Was Up. Yeah.
Yes.
I
agree with Will on the core premise. I think this is just them having leftover chips and they want to make a more cut down version of it. It reminds me of the way that like the 5700X 3D, I think it was exclusive to Micro Center, and there were other ones in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because they only have, so much quantity available of these cut down chips. And I think there's probably a much bigger demand for them in South America where these chips are from.
Yeah.
So that's probably why on that front.
Because this is LATAM and South America exclusively, right?
Yeah, that's what I just watched Steve's video. Steve did a review of it. So
Yeah.
as we said.
Yeah. And, it's interesting because if you go into the comments of that video, one, it's great because a lot of the top comments are very funny. And I think there's at least one of those people who watches the full nerd because they mentioned AM4 as going to the Hall of Fame. And I'm like, I see you.
Steve shouted out AM4 is in the Hall of Fame. Actually,
well,
he didn't say our Hall of Fame, but
you
he
know
said
what? I'm going to
the
pretend.
Hall of
I'm going to
Fame.
pretend my version is the real version here.
Okay.
But also, someone in the comments from Brazil pointed out that even though it's priced to equivalent about, I think, just the shot like a hair over 200 USD, that even though it sounds expensive to us, for them it's actually pretty affordable, just given how difficult it is for them to get higher end parts for our prices. Oh my God, there's another fake hair in my mouth.
Look, this is the life
How do
you've
people
chosen.
live like
This life.
No, how do people live like this?
So I used to work with an artist who was from Brazil, and she had to travel back to vote and stuff like that a couple times a year. And every time she would come back, her family members and friends that still live in Brazil would send her a list of stuff
to bring with
smuggle back across the border.
She actually had to smuggle it.
I mean, you only pay for
one
duties on
the
stuff if you get caught. Is the way it works there.
Oh, so it's like those people who just like strap like CPUs to their bodies in China.
I don't think she was. I think she was putting them in suitcases. I don't think she had a PS5 like she's strapped on her back or anything. But yeah. So the I think that's absolutely it. I think people are buying like this is a place where because these are like $200 equivalent is the conversion rate.
Yeah, roughly.
US.
I think 204 at the time of Steve's video.
AMD has to be looking at, hey, we have a lot of AM4 install base in these regions, and we're not going to convince these people to switch to DDR5 and Zen 5 or AM5 rather. So what can we dump some stuff out in here that's going to convince some of the people on 3600s and 3000 series CPUs to do a last upgrade before the AM4 goes away forever?
Yeah,
and that's got to be what they're doing.
And that's kind of what I'm wondering about it too, because being so entrenched here in the U.S. market, I am not as familiar, not even remotely familiar, honestly, with like what supply looks like for things like DDR4 RAM, because that's the other news piece that came out, like late last week, which is prices are just skyrocketing now because they've like pulled back on production. And so whatever is remaining is just very difficult to get a hold of. I'm wondering, like, are people just hanging on to their, Gen 1 AM4 builds that long, or is it that they're not getting DDR5, RAM or memory at prices that, makes it worth doing the conversion over to, the new platform? And so maybe that's, again, like I said, why not both is because, maybe they, AMD's looking at their numbers. They're like, oh, okay, like, well, if this is what the region's like, then we may as well like move this that we have kind of extras of, so to speak, to fill that need. It is interesting to think, because also when I heard about this news from the U.S. perspective, I'm thinking, wow, given how volatile the U.S. fiscal policy stuff has been with the tariffs and, prices increasing and slower production and all this. Oh, God, there's another fake hair in my mouth. You just ignore this after a certain point. You have to, right? Like, you just live your life slightly uncomfortable.
It's just not a problem.
And then, so anyway, I was saying, so it's like, okay, are we going to start seeing things like this? That, I think Steve started his video by saying, I'm not even going to say this is the last AM4 chip, because who knows, we might see more. And I'm wondering if that's kind of where we're going to end up, where we think that we're going to get all this newer hardware and it's going to be pushing, but we're just going to end up kind of extending, which is cool in one way, but also a little disappointing for us if we're, looking to talk here on the show about the, newest, latest, and greatest.
They can still, there's still a 5400X3D, 5300X, they have at least 4 more processors that they could go with between here and the end game is my like they just keep binning down lower and lower, smacking more cash on top of them and call it a $200 chip.
Someone beat you to that in the comments in the Steve's video, which I thought was hilarious. They're like, so 2032 for the 5100 X3D, which I thought was pretty great.
That'll be the new Raspberry Pi chip. Get 1 core X3D cache. Let's go.
That'd be amazing.
I'm just annoyed we have to reset the clock again on AM4. So, it's I thought we were finally, I thought the 5700 X3D was going to be it, and here we are back, or 5600 X3D was going to be it, and here we are again.
I think it makes sense again because of the specific market. Mike covered the DDR4 story, so we could probably talk more about that. But here in the US, like DDR4 costs way more than it does for DDR5, like twice as much or something like that. South America, I don't know Brazil specifically, but I know in general, South America, like a lot of people have older PCs, they have secondhand PCs, they buy older gear because the prices are so crazy. So it makes sense to me that there's more DDR4 availability down there, and that's why they would release this chip down there.
Mike, did you want to give a quick overview of what you recapped for the site today? Just so everyone knows, like, the details.
It's all fairly obvious stuff, with DDR4 going out on the tail end of its relevance for RAM, and that combined with lots of memory producers who just don't want to make it anymore, and there's tons of other demands for those fabrication facilities for newer types of memory. It's getting harder to find. So it's a pretty obvious supply and demand issue. So if you want to upgrade to more and or faster DDR4 RAM at any time in the near future, like, go and look for it now. It's only going to get harder to find and more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, this always happens, right? Because like you stuff's expensive when it's new. They start making more of it. It gets cheap, the new thing. And then as it starts to move out of fashion, then they stop making as much. Demand outpaces the supply at that point, and then prices start going up until you, like, 10 years from now, like, if you want to go buy DDR3 right now, it's really, really expensive.
That's why you go on eBay.
Yeah, even on eBay, it's
higher, but it's not like, the third-party sellers on Newegg.
Wonder if you can just cannibalize an old system and rip it out of there.
That's really what you do. You just go on Facebook Marketplace and people are like, I'm selling this old system for like $50. You're like, sold.
Well, and you see, this happens a lot with CPUs. Like if you look at, people will have some business critical Broadwell era CPU machine in there, and if the CPU dies, then they're like, oh, it's cheaper for me to spend $2,000 on an old Broadwell CPU than it is to rebuild this machine and redo the whole thing from scratch.
Because there's also downtime and all that.
Because there's downtime and all that.
Yeah, because that's how business have to calculate it.
So yeah. Like it's funny. I have a friend who works in data center in fabs in Northern California, and he sent me a picture of their hardware graveyard, which was when they end of life a computer, instead of like e-wasting it, they just chucked it in a disused bathroom. So when they needed to go find an old 486 motherboard, you just go far enough into the bathroom that you get to the 486 layer, and then
they just like build for the newer stuff in the front, and you just go deeper. That's
because it had been running continuously for like 40 years.
That's amazing.
So like the 386s were all the way against the back wall, and then up in the front, it's like a bunch of sandy bridges.
Eventually, does it just push out? So eventually, like the 286s went, and then the 386s and the 486s.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, so you could go out and you find the machine that looks like the one you need to fix, pull a board from it, pop it in, see if it fixes it, and if it doesn't, you just keep going back until you get another one. It was amazing.
I can relate to this issue because my house is just a little over 40 years old, and I still have almost all the original kitchen appliances in there, including a 40-year-old GE stove that still works great.
Wow.
But it has these really particular drip pans beneath the burners that you cannot find for love nor money. I actually did find them just a few weeks ago for money, not love. But there was some vendor on Amazon that had this incredibly particular shape that you had to slide in there. And I was like, give me half a dozen sets of this right now, because I don't know if you'll have them tomorrow.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Also, thank you to Infocore BR in our YouTube live chat, saying, reporting to us direct from Brazil, saying that yes, you can find a lot of DDR4 around here, no brand ones and more traditional ones.
Well, and this is also a situation where like
there's another one.
If you're running like JetX speed RAM, it's a lot easier than if you're trying to do overclocker RAM that's like running at higher speeds and all that. So.
Also, sorry, just real quick. For audio listeners, every time I make an exclamation, it's because the fake hair from my beard is in my mouth or something is tickling me.
This is the life you chose.
Should have trimmed it before we start the show.
Well, now I'm getting the full beard experience. No pun intended.
Start using beard oil.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Brad. Let's talk about technology.
One, I think it's great that AMD is keeping going with this because AM4 is the GOAT and so many people can still upgrade. I think this is great that they're just not tossing out to die. I think they're doing it. But I think people are taken a little bit by surprise by this transition because I think like DDR3 had a really weird transition. It was only supposed to be around for 3 or so years, and it took 8. So this is the first transition switch after that. Everyone was ready for DDR3 to die. DDR4 is much welcomed. Now this is the first transition after that. So it's the first time in over a decade that we've had to have a proper transition. So I think it just is weird to some people.
Yeah.
And we should add that it's not getting like prohibitively impossibly expensive. I looked at it this morning just for that news post, and I was looking specifically at 2 times 8 gigabyte sticks, and it was getting just about in the same area as DDR5. If you're looking for like the super fast overclock grade DDR5 RAM, you're still going to be paying a lot more. So it isn't like a 5-alarm fire. You cannot afford to do anything with a slightly older PC anymore. It's just a bit of a pain point.
Yeah, at the moment, I think it's more that people are sounding the alarm because usually when you start to see it, it starts to go like pretty dramatically up as opposed to just like trickle up.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the takeaway here. If you're planning on building a new AM4 system, you might want to get DDR4 now before it's only going to go up higher from here. And something that a lot of people don't consider, like there's going to be tons of DDR4 everywhere. So if you do get to the point you're like, I'm not spending this much on old technology, look on Facebook Marketplace. I live in a tiny area. Like there's only 50,000 people in my cities. I'm surrounded by woods. There's not a lot of people here. And you can find all kinds of PC parts on Facebook Marketplace. And RAM should be pretty,
Well, I was going to say, like Elena said, look for used machines. Often you can get a used computer with everything for 50, especially if like the hard drive died and it doesn't work anymore, for $50, and you can farm your the last thing I'll say is if you're sitting on an AM4 machine that you're planning on keeping a while and it's a 16 gig machine, this is consider getting that 32 gig kit 64. Right now. Look, DDR4 64 was always really expensive because they didn't make
not if you get enough Facebook Marketplace. Okay. All I'm saying is that if you find someone with 32 and someone else with 32 and you have 4 slots, let's go.
No, don't fill 4 slots bad.
It's not that bad.
AM4
mixing memory is bad.
Yeah, mixing memory, AM4.
You can do it.
This is you're just
you all are just being snobs about it.
I just like my computer to work. I'm old fashioned that way.
It's different now. I know what you're talking about.
You can
let go of the trauma.
Let's do a video.
Let's do it.
Let's go buy a bunch of computers on Facebook Marketplace and try a bunch of 32 gig kits.
It works okay now.
Okay.
Maybe not as optimally. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong about that.
I'm not saying we should overclock that. I'm saying JEDEC. Okay.
All right.
But it's nice that it lives on, right? This is a good thing.
So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I do wonder, though. I was like, oh, man, is it time for AM4 to be nominated and win? And then it's like, nope, maybe not. And then it's like, wait a second. No, you all broke the rules. There are no rules. Let's let chaos reign.
When I did the heel turn, I thought about AM4. That was in the back of my head. It's like, what's the worst thing I can do? Can I suggest 1080 Ti, or is it AM4, which is flipping the table worse? You're welcome, by the way.
Just that's all I'm going to say about that. And if you haven't seen our Hall of Fame episode, you should, because things happen. Shenanigans happen.
It was a
if I weren't in a dress and heels, I would have overturned the table.
This is a pretty heavy table. I would have been impressed.
If I hadn't been in a dress, I would have overturned the table.
Okay.
Table flip.
Oh, how does it feel, Elena? Oh,
having the
it
beard?
doesn't feel good, does it? Yeah, no, having the tables flipped on you.
No. Here's the thing. Because if it come from you, I would have expected it. Because I was like, you know what? That's fair. Like, all things must balance, right? But that came from a different source, and I was like, all right, I see how it goes.
You never expect it.
I mean, I kind of expected it, but I also think that for someone who is trying to enforce the rules, you got to play by what you set. If you're not going to do that, then all right, I'm not going to hold back.
Look, it was lunchtime, Elena.
That's true. We were hungry. Speaking of hunger,
yeah,
seems like all the hackers want all our secrets, and it kind of sucks.
Look, I gotta say, I got a spam text this morning that was the nicest spam text I've ever gotten. Speaking of hackers, yeah, I'm gonna read it.
Oh, okay. Oh God, there's another one.
You may be very busy, but don't forget to take care of yourself. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna thumbs up this, and then I'm gonna report junk.
Wait, is this why people stroke their beards and mustaches?
Yeah, it's really fun.
They're just grooming it to get it out of their freaking mouths.
Look, you can do forks.
Happening? That's a very nice, caring spam message.
Yeah, it was really, really thoughtful, right? Really thoughtful. Like, usually the spammers are like, "Hey, man, have you considered a loan that's going to destroy your life?" But no, today, or hey, do you want pills of some kind? We've got pills.
Whoa.
But today it was like, hey, you're doing good and you're working hard, and you should take care of yourself. Take a minute.
I wonder if they're like going long. Yeah, going long in this like fishing game. It's like, hey, just to get a conversation started, see how it goes, and then, hey, why don't you buy this snake oil stuff from me? You know,
absolutely.
It's absolutely pig butchering all the way down. Yeah, that's true.
While you're feeling good, have you heard about Bitcoin?
Yeah, exactly. If you send me some Bitcoin, the good vibes will keep rolling. What's going on? What's going on with the security stuff, Elena? Why is it bad? Why is everything bad?
So I just wanted to do this as a very kind of quick PSA to everybody, because I feel like with AI being introduced into the inevitable ongoing arms race between, security researchers and, software and experts and all of that, and the hackers who want to basically part us from our money, AI has made things very chaotic. So things are moving much faster. There are a lot more breaches. There are a lot more, just a lot more everything. Last week, and Mike could probably speak a little bit more to this because he did some the news articles for PCWorld.com, which is the use of AI to create like malware that can evade detection, and just generally using AI to improve phishing techniques, send out more campaigns, a bunch of other stuff. But the one that, oh God, right in my, God, I hate this fake hair.
Elena, it might be time to give up.
Yeah, no. Something that caught my eye was, I think it's easy to look at all this news and think, okay, well, if I just have good security practices if I'm using, long, strong passwords, I'm using 2FA, I'm using passkeys, I'm fine. And that's generally true. But the problem is that there are things out of our control as consumers. And then what I mean by that is if a company gets hacked, a company that holds your secrets or other things get hacked, you have no control over that. And so you have to stay on top of the news. And so one of the big ones for me is seeing all the chatter around this talk that like 2.5 billion Gmail users are at risk.
Or Google passwords.
Passwords. Your account password for Google could potentially be at risk. And the thing is that I think it's easy to look at the news and think, okay, well, I have all my stuff in place. I'm confident that everything's secure. I can probably ignore it. And I would just tell you all, like, if this isn't a primary account for you, it takes you like 5 minutes to change your password, especially if you're using a password manager. Just go ahead and rotate them. If you think that there's a potential risk for anything, just go ahead and rotate now. That's it. That's just my PSA.
How did Google lose 2.5 billion passwords?
Salesforce. So there's a bunch of Salesforce hacks that's been happening. So it's not just Google that got affected. It's a lot of other, I think not a lot, but there are a handful of other major companies who have come out and said they've also been compromised through this third party thing. And
for what it's worth, yeah. Google this morning put out a clarification to say end users aren't in danger at this point. It's just business customers who they had it's like CRM database in there, that kind of stuff got taken. It's not users right now, but this is still a great warning for everything we're talking about.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? So Google comes out and they say this clarification, and I'm not going to say that they don't know, they're like hiding something. I'm not saying that, but having seen how the LastPass breach went, which is when it first came out, they're like, everything's fine. There's no worries about, customer data having been stolen. And then they came out again a few months later and they said, or a couple months later, however long it was, and they said, oh, actually customer data was stolen, but it should be fine. And then a few months after that, it was like, no, there actually could be problems with that. And it turns out that LastPass had a bunch of customers who had like far fewer iterations for, the hashing for the encryption. And so it was, a bunch of people were saying like, hey, no, like my crypto wallet just got stolen. So obviously something's going on here. It turns out the URLs weren't encrypted. Like all this stuff started leaking out. And don't get me wrong, like I have friends who've worked for security teams at Google. So I know Google is very on top of it. That said, again, why wait to find out that maybe this hasn't gone the way they think it has? Just rotate your passwords now. Especially if you use a password manager, it's not going to be difficult to stay on top of that.
Well, okay, so I use a password manager. I use hardware.
I'm literally seeing it right now. Yes.
Yeah, hardware keys on everything. I was looking to see what my password manager has a feature that says, "Hey, here are the compromised websites that have been reported that you have passwords for in the thing." And like the one that I have is not Google. They don't have Google on the list. They're usually pretty good about getting this stuff on. I'm curious. Like I do a hardware 2-factor on all my Google accounts. So I should still be okay, right? Like this is the concern for this. I guess there's two concerns, right? Is that a lot of people use Google for their OAuth logins for a bunch of other sites, which means if Google's violated, then all of a sudden you have a bunch of downstream stuff that's a problem. But theoretically, I mean, last time I saw the Google thing was like, hey, if you use a hardware key, we've literally never had this breached. What's the broached?
I don't like any of the options.
Yeah, they're all bad. The words are not good there.
So what I would tell someone who comes to PCWorld.com, probably someone who does like a search or something, the advice I would give them is a little different than how I'm talking to everybody here, because one, pretty much everybody listening to this podcast is much more savvy about, technology and related things, which includes online security. And then we also serve as tech support for a lot of people informally, right? Mm-hmm. If not officially a part of your job. So from that perspective, it's more that like, we do know about things like, hey, okay, so this is me just projecting, but it's not impossible that whatever data that they stole from Salesforce, this business information, what if they then do an attack that we've heard about recently in the past year, which is they basically activate like shuttered domains, like businesses have gone out of business, to see if the connection is still there. You know what I mean? And that might not affect your Google account per se, but it can affect other things that are services that are linked. Maybe you've never killed those off. And so again, it's not specifically just about Gmail or Google accounts in particular, but it's the idea that any of your primary accounts, you always want to treat, in my opinion, you always want to treat with this extra care. Yeah. You always want to make sure that it's not linked to something that is weak, right? So, and chat is saying this as well. It's like not just, and thank you for the reminder to put this part out there as well, which is it's not just rotating your passwords if you feel like, you want to do that because it's, kind of easy to do, but also making sure that you are, reissuing those tokens. So like if you need to kill all of your current sessions and then relog in, you do that just to make sure like, hey, I've kind of cleared the decks. We're kind of starting a little bit fresh with everything connected. And now in theory, I shouldn't have to worry I should be able to worry less about this.
Well, because like just generally speaking, the rotating your passwords, it's one of those things that was a recommendation for a long, long time. And it's why we got those annoying prompts that were like, hey, every 3 months you got to change your password. And we'd end up with Gordon's solution, which was my password. My first password is assword. And then my second password is assword1. And my third one is and he just kept, sorry, Adam, that's my bad. But so like we don't, generally speaking, just changing your passwords for no reason is not recommended, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So current guidance, but again, we're not talking about a situation where there's absolutely no reason to do it. Like it's just like, well, it's spring, so now I'm changing your password. Like my password. We're not advocating that anymore. And honestly, it's not feasible. Like I easily have several hundred passwords.
I was just looking at my password manager. Right? There's like 1,300
when I had to do the LastPass export and I wrote that very angry article for PCWorld, it was like 600 passwords that I was dealing with for that export. There's a lot. You cannot feasibly rotate all 600 every 3 months or however long they want you to do it. If you want to do it for your main account, like your primary email address, your bank account, like a handful that you have memorized or you just are very concerned about, live your best life. That's fine. But it's not the recommended guidance. But this is more like hey, if you see something in the news that makes you think, oh, maybe, God, there's another fake hair in my mouth. Okay. If you think that it could warrant it, like the reason that this one got my attention is that, hey, it's Gmail. A lot of people use it as their primary email account. I mean, they use it for business. They, same thing when I've seen stuff related to like Amazon. When I thought there was, I forgot when, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, where this person claimed that they were, an AWS, AW3 engineer, and they're like, hey, I can't talk about it, but I'm just going to tell you, rotate your passwords. And I'm like, you know what? You could be making this up, but fine. That's cool. It's going to take me like 2 minutes. Well, done.
So my strategy has always been like defense in depth, I guess. So I have one account that nobody knows that's private. That's the recovery address for all of my other accounts, right? And then I make sure that account is super, super locked down and really, really tight. And
especially with your name.
I mean, I can't use my name for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Because what I used to use my name. I used my name for a long time, and then somebody decided they wanted my Gmail address, and they started picking away at all of the accounts. Like they hit Amazon to try to get the last 4 digits of my credit card, so then they could go to Netflix and get, and use that last 4 digits of the credit card as a recovery information, and on down the chain. So it made me think about this in really specific ways. But it's funny, Gentlestone Chris 2670 asked a question, which I think is relevant and it's worth talking about because they said, it makes absolutely no sense to me to use software to store your passwords when it's software you're trying to secure. Write them down, which kind of good advice, except for the scale of the problem is such that you're better off having unique passwords for every site. Like the problem isn't actually that the problem is having the same password across multiple sites, because then if you use the same password on some website and they don't salt and hash their passwords properly so that their password database is breached, whatever, stolen, then all of a sudden they have a known good password for your email account, and then they can go hit a bazillion other services in an automated way and find all the places that known good password also works. And that's the main, still one of the main points of egress, right?
You're not wrong, but I also think that's an excellent point because that's the problem that passkeys are trying to solve. So if you use passkeys with a specific device, like your phone, like your Windows laptop, or your desktop PC, then you're basically creating a thing that other people can't copy. At least for this point with the protocols and technology.
Yeah.
Like what it'll look like in 5 years, I don't know. But for now, passkeys are incredibly secure and they're also convenient, and they kind of address this issue, which is you want something that isn't necessarily something that you put into storage in software that if you have it stored in the cloud that can be stolen and then just used, even though you have a unique password for everything. If someone gets into your vault, as we saw with LastPass, then it's like you don't really have any security at that point, even though you followed the best practices. My issue with all of the layers is that how do you keep it all straight, right? So now we have these weird things where it's always that thing where like something's originally announced in its original form, and then people say, well, we want it to be more convenient, or we wanted to change this way. So then they do that, but then it nerfs it a bit, right? So if you store your passkeys in a cloud-based password manager, if someone gets into that vault, it's the same issue with passwords. They can use it anywhere now because it's the authenticating quote device is the password manager, not something you physically hold or have. I personally would love to see passkeys. I'm going on a tangent here, but I would personally love to see passkeys being able to use them with two-factor still, because if you have your passkeys and you still can pair that with, like, say, a hardware key.
But that's the point, though.
Most places do not do that. Most places you do either password plus 2FA or just a passkey. Amazon is the only one I've seen so far where if you add a passkey to your account, they're like, cool, give me your two-factor before I let you in. I'm like, thank you. I would love to be able to enable this across other places because I think eventually we're going to get to a point where passkeys will need to be treated this way.
Well, but I thought the point of the passkey was that it uses a secure vault on your device.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're just you're two-factoring your two-factor at that point, right?
But it's not really but passkey is not really a two-factor anymore because it's still a single.
It's a thing that you have that you bring with you and then a biometric ID or it's a hash that's stored and then the token that attaches to the device.
Sure, but again, we're talking about also from the perspective of it being on a device. So we're getting really into the weeds here.
Yeah, sorry.
But the thing is that I'm talking about the thing is that most people will either probably store their passkeys on their phone, which will get stored to a central password manager. Honestly, it's not on your device. A lot of times, it is being stored to Google Password Manager or it's probably iCloud Keychain for Apple. So that means that it's actually still being cloud stored. So unless you actually save it to a YubiKey, you're not getting that full protection you would think you're getting, like limiting it to just like the thing that you have, right?
Yeah.
So I would still like to see 2FA for that because if that gets compromised, that means that that vault with all that data is still as vulnerable if you're using passwords. We are very
so that means if your iOS account or your Google account aren't protected properly with two-factor, then like you're just as safe as your iCloud account is, or as your iCloud. I think enforces two-factor through other devices, and you can hook a YubiKey up to it now if you want. But I don't know how Google works because I don't use an Android phone. So yeah, and like who knows what the setup is like now?
Okay, sorry. Mike, Brad, do you have any thoughts on this? Because Will and I have been going at it.
Yeah.
I'll fight you.
No. It's the thing is, I'm sitting over here looking. That's what the
beard makes me do. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, she's angry up the beard.
No, I don't have anything to add here. It's getting really hard out there. It seems almost constant that there's some kind of very high-profile breach, but there's not a whole lot that we as individual users can do about it. So I keep an eye on things. Like you said, Elena, whenever I see anything having to do with my main Google or other like bank or financial stuff, and I get nervous, I just change the password almost reflexively because I also use a manager. It is fairly easy. There's really no reason not to do it, even if the old every 90 days thing doesn't quite apply anymore. So yeah, just Cross your fingers. The one thing that I recommend for anybody who has their face and voice out there is like, talk to your family about this, especially if you've got family members who are not as technical as like the average person, and say, hey, it is so incredibly easy for somebody to clone a voice, and even these days, like clone a video of someone with the generative AI stuff. Come up with there's no smooth way to say this, a secret passphrase that only your specific family would know, and like rehearse that. Next time you're calling them for the holidays, is like, hey, you remember that thing I told you about? Why don't you tell it back to me in case I'm not who I say I am? That sort of thing. Just establish best practices.
And also explain to them that they can't say, hey, the challenge code comes from you, not from them. Right.
Yeah, they can't prompt you. I hate that when you talk to some customer service agent who's trying to be helpful, and they're like, your email address starts with and you're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Well, it's like when you go to a hotel and you're like, they try to get you to pay with your room number. You're not supposed to give your room number ever when you go into a hotel, right? You're not supposed to, like, if you go to the bar and you get a drink and they're like, hey, you just want your room? What's your room number? And you're like, no, you write it down on the piece of paper. You don't ever say it out loud.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because like, that's a good way to get your kidneys harvested, right?
Dang, Will, you've seen some stuff.
I was just worried about someone overcharging me my room instead, but you know.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Sure, Will. Yeah, go dark.
I don't want to wake up in the tub full of ice. Is all I'm saying.
Good Lord.
I actually do have a thought on this. I actually do a lot of security precautions. It sounds like similar to Will myself, because I've actually been targeted by attacks over reporting in the past, so I've had to lock down my stuff. That being said, passkeys are great, but I think we're like overthinking it and complicating it. These days, I'm a firm believer that if you use a password manager and have unique passwords for every site and you use 2FA whenever you're possible, you're pretty damn good. Like, passkeys are great, but I think the level of security that we have as a baseline now is so much more improved to what it used to be. Now, if I see something that says, Gmail was hacked, my bank was hacked, anything like that, then I'll go and manually change the password. But I don't even worry about rotating passwords that much anymore. I just have strong, unique passwords and 2FA everywhere.
The other thing I would say is think about all the places that you can use to recover your password. So make sure your password manager has 2FA and a hardware key, ideally, especially if you're high threat. If you're really high threat, you can get one of those Google enhanced account protection accounts. They're free, and they're a real pain to use as a day-to-day Google driver because you literally can't connect any external services to them. But if you're worried about it, you can use one of those as your recovery account for all of your other services. So if you're a public-facing figure in any way, shape, or form and are constant subject to this kind of threat, then if that's a secret account, people won't have the recovery address for your accounts, which bypasses a lot of the social engineering stuff. And then the third and fourth things are lock your credit.
Yes.
In the U.S., especially with all three agencies, it should be free. They try to sign you up for services. They're like, hey, we're going to do your credit protection.
Ignore
but
that.
Look for the small print that says click through and just lock it. That's fine. Also, your cell phone. So if you your cell phone is an easy way that people like Matt Honan, who was a Wired reporter, who somebody tried to get his Twitter account,
and they did,
famously went to Verizon when in another city and was like, hey, my name's Matt, I'm traveling, here's my phone number, my phone got stolen, can you burn me a new SIM? And they burned him a new SIM, and that led him to recover a bazillion accounts.
SIM jacking.
So you can go to most major cell providers and say, hey, I would like my SIM account to be locked unless I provide a specific pass key. And then
usually account PIN.
And then even if you go to like, a third party cellular sales place that will burn new SIMs on a no confirmation of anything, they'll have to jump through that hoop, and it'll stop them from being able to do that without you giving the passcode. So anyway,
but also in general, don't use SMS 2FA if you can help it.
It's really hard to get out of SMS 2FA.
I know, but that's the other thing too. So it's funny because Brad was saying that like, let's not complicate this with passkeys, because hilariously, passkeys are supposed to simplify things so that you don't need to have like passwords and 2FA and all these other things, right? Because if you get rid of 2FA, you don't have to worry about the SMS thing and whatnot. But it's complicated too because some services don't support anything, like a lot of banks banks just love using text messages still, and it drives me batty.
Yeah, we asked about that, and we got a bunch of really good answers from people who work in the banking industry about how it's all basically a house of cards that started in the 50s and is built up on international law and all sorts of agreements that probably we're not party to anymore in the United States. But
and also that there are people who've said that they've done the calculations, and writing off like fraud and all that is still cheaper for them than changing their IT systems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's security. Just as a reminder, just to answer a couple of quick questions and chat around it. I know a lot of people are worried about passkeys because, like, just like a house key or whatever, if you lose the key, then you're kind of locked out of the house, so to speak. But it's the same principle as a house key. You just make other copies, right? So you get a UB key, maybe several UB keys. Maybe you have an old phone that you leave around the house just as a backup for your passkey. So you can create other passkeys. They're all unique, but they're tied to your account. And so that way it's just your backup. It's no different than if you use a hardware key for 2FA. You should have multiple hardware keys if that's the case, because otherwise you are going to be locked out because you can't bypass that second, checkpoint.
Save your recovery keys, but save them someplace secure and smart. Don't just put them in a folder on your hard drive.
Yep.
The one really interesting thing about all of this to me is that it seems like the thing that generative AI remains the absolute GOAT for is spam and fraud. So, like, not maybe great for a lot of other things, but spam and fraud, really, really good. Like really industry-changing technologies there. So, I guess good job, AI bros.
There's a lot of dark stuff that it's funny because it's just like a look at humanity, and it's like, wow, why is humanity so good at doing terrible things to itself? But there are some cool things that come out of it too. Like, to be fair to AI, I was reading about how somebody was using it to basically on the fly take like ASCII art and create real, not really great, but real like 3D art from it, which I thought was an interesting use of it, for example. So they're like somebody else created like what they call like a small language model, where they basically fed this with a bunch of high quality historical like information, and then was able to use the model to like find out different things. And I was like, oh, that's kind of like a neat way of doing time travel or, plumbing history in a more interesting way than just reading text. But again, it's reliant on good data. It's relying on someone with ethics creating the model, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. Final note on security before we get to all of your questions, which could include security, is on Mike's point about the whole like verbal password thing, so that your relatives don't get scammed thinking that you're asking them for money. One big change I think that AI has caused with this is that it's actually very easy to target quote unquote ordinary people. So not even people like us who are like Z tier famous. Maybe not you, Will. You're like way higher.
Z tier.
Okay, so then we're like double letter tier. But even like random people who don't think they would be targeted, it actually makes them more susceptible to this because they think that they would never be targeted. So in some ways, it's almost a paradox now where all of us who are expecting it in some ways are less susceptible because we're expecting it versus you just clock a 9 to 5 at, a standard job. And then, you think you get a call from your kid in college or your grandkids or whomever. And you don't think, oh, maybe this is a scam, because in your mind, you would think, why would anyone target me? Nobody knows who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you do a Instagram reel or a TikTok reel every day, that's a lot of voice data to train on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't even need that much. Like if you are, say, in a Discord chat with your friends and somebody pops on and is like, hey, I don't know that username, and they're just sitting there for 5 minutes and they're recording all of you, hey, that's enough to get an approximation of your face and voice and use it for these models.
It's good enough to do a bad, low quality, hey, we're in Turkey and we've got your loved one call.
Help me.
It's the other thing about, like, the thing about this is it's made what would have been a specialized targeted attack on a person of interest, either somebody who's famous or a politician or somebody who holds the keys to the servers for a big company, like people who are known targets. It's made those attacks scalable in a way that they previously were not, in a bad way. So everybody has to be careful now, and the fact that our phones are intentionally Swiss cheese, and as I have a friend who's from France or from French Canadian who moved to the U.S. recently, and literally was like, "Hey, what's going on with your mail? I get all these things that look like bills, and then when I read the fine print, they're not bills." And I'm like, what's going, like, why do you allow this? And I had to explain how the Postal Service makes money, and they were like, this is a bad system.
Well, welcome to the country that also allows ads for drugs on TV.
Yeah. Look, we used to allow ads for booze and cigarettes on TV. So we're just anyway.
Well, now it's drugs and gambling, so it's a lateral move.
Look, we got the WNBA. Anyway, I'm not even going to get into that. The gambling, whatever, it's fine.
So I have a quick question just on this real quick.
Starting Q&A from One Willis Live.
Still around this whole security thing. So as Liquidar also mentioned in the chat, it's like, how do you handle passwords when, when you're passing? And it's like, how do you, is there like any way you can set yourself or set a beneficiary to how your family members can handle your accounts and passwords in terms of security?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, personally relevant because I had a friend who passed away earlier this year, and one of the biggest issues logistically was that nobody knew how to get into his accounts, right? Mm-hmm. So we didn't know what recurring charges were racking up on his credit card. We didn't even know what credit cards he had at first, stuff like that. And if he had set an emergency contact, so that's the thing you want to be able to do if you have a paid password managers will support this. Generally, if they're worth their salt, you can set up an emergency access contact or contacts, so that if they request access, if you don't respond to the request after a certain amount of time, they will automatically get access to whatever data either that you set, or if the service just gives them, some of the services just give carte blanche, right? They just give access to the whole thing. So that's one way to do it. Another is to just proactively share your passwords securely through the password manager with trusted contacts. Let's say like you're married or in a partnership where you do need access to each other's accounts, like that makes sense, right? Another one is that if you don't pay for a password manager, you at least write down your password, or like somehow have like I forgot the name of it, but those books you put together for people to go through if they need to, to handle your affairs, stating it there. So, I mean, these days, in the old days, we used to say, don't write your passwords down. And then it still holds true. You're not going to put it on a Post-it and put it on your monitor. That's still not a really bad idea.
It's under the keyboard, Elena. That's where it's safe.
Oh, sorry, it's just like the doormat. But, I mean, if you have a secure place you can store, handwritten passwords, then in your house, that's probably honestly more secure than having it is more secure than having a weak password on your account. So, kind of similar, like you can just hand someone maybe that you trust a sealed envelope and say, like, don't open this unless something's happened to me. Or do banks even do safe security boxes anymore?
So you're actually, my lawyer was like, don't do it in a safe deposit box, because if somebody who's not on the safe deposit box needs to get access to it, it's a real pain. I mean, if
you give the key. If you have the key in your possessions, they at least have the key, then they can go and... Or do they need identification to open it?
So you if like something happens to your executor and they're not able to have access to it, or if like you do your spouse and you're both injured in a car wreck, or one person's killed, one person's injured, then they won't be able to get into it to do the stuff until that person's able to go. And so safe deposit box are the person who set up our family trust was like, no, don't do a safe deposit box.
Okay. I mean, like there are ways around this. Like you can store it in a secure file. You know,
like I think your password manager, like this is the reason to pay for password managers.
Yes, honestly. I mean I'm coming up with convoluted things because I know there are people in the audience who don't trust password managers, or who don't mind more complicated solutions. But yes, like for most people, especially if I'm writing for the website, which is more of a generalized audience, expands like a much wider swath of people, then I would say just pay for a password manager.
It's $30 a year for one password family.
Not even that. Like Bitwarden is $10 a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like the reason at the time when we signed up for 1Password, which was a long time ago now, it was one of the only ones that offered continuity planning, so that, for example, in our family plan, if my wife or one of us is incapacitated or whatever, she can take over my account, I can take over her account. it does it in a way that notifies the person whose account is taken over, right? So like I get a notification the next time I sign in. There's it says, "Hey, this has happened. Is this cool?"
Yeah.
So that if there's like a spousal abuse situation or something like that, it's not like they're not just secretly getting into your passwords.
100%.
Like it gives you the easy way. That's the easy way to do this.
Yeah. Another way to do this is, allowing people to have emergency access. So like I know for sure Google does this, where you can set a legacy contact. So like let's say like you don't use your account, you have inactivity on your account for like 2 months, 3 months, however much time you set, then whatever data that you've like selected to share with your contacts will become available to them. So that's another way to do it, right? So like maybe you don't give them direct emergency contact access, but you set up a special account that has like a Google Doc with like information they need to see. I don't know. There are ways of doing it.
That sounds like a good idea for me. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah.
So there are ways of doing it that's not necessarily the direct route. Our crowd, I think, we're all very comfortable with, more complicated solutions. But for most people, the people that we're doing tech support for, paid password manager is just real easy. Yeah.
Look, the other thing you can do is just always say something really cryptic, like the galaxy's on Orion's belt, and then people will know that your password is rolled up in a cord in a little canister on your cat's collar.
What a reference.
Just, think about it.
Well, Will wins this episode. That's it. We're done.
Wins the episode and the beard.
I didn't mean to shut everything down.
Shut everything down. We're just done for the day. But on that note,
all right,
let's get to some questions.
Yeah.
We meant for this to be a short show. Like Brad was highly encouraging me. She's just like, just make it all Q&A. Just make it all Q&A. And I'm like, but we have things.
I like Q&A.
I know I do too. I'm just keeping us from the Q&A. What's the Q&A? Does anyone want to ask me about my beard?
A lot of people had questions, but
they did, but they seem very rhetorical.
So you have any questions, feel free to at us in the chat right now if you're catching the live show. If you're catching it after the live show and you're listening, you can hit us up on Discord, leave it in the Q&A thread on our Discord, and we'll get back to you on that later. So yeah, let's see. Do you have any for Brad? It's been a while since he's been here. I'm sure that we have like so many for him.
I was saying that this morning. I think it's been like a month since I've been on the show.
Yeah, real quick, I have one. See, this was from Discord from a friend of the show, Liquid R, asks, what are your thoughts, hopes, and concerns regarding Valve's Fremont? Who in the Full Nerd crew might consider picking one up?
Is that their standalone VR rumored headset?
Thought it was a console.
That was Deckard.
Oh, that's Deckard.
Yeah. Okay. Fremont is it's not a handheld. It's a full box console, kind of like the Steam box.
Oh, the idea is it's a Steam Deck in a box for plugging into your TV.
Yeah. Did you guys?
I'm not convinced that is real. I think it might just be dev hardware, but I really do hope that it's real. I think it's a fantastic idea to make like a $200, $300 box just for Steam, plug it into a TV. I mean, they tried this, 10 or 12 years ago with the Steam boxes, and it wasn't quite the right time. But I think now, especially that we've got, tens of thousands of new games that come out every year, most of which don't need absolutely cutting edge PC gaming hardware, that could be a real winner. I mean, especially when people are looking at, $600 for a 5-year-old PlayStation 5. Yeah, get that thing out on the market next year if you can, and just roll in the dough.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the idea of Steam machines when they originally happened. I like what Valve is doing now, though. We're coming out with our own hardware. It's affordably priced. Here's the baseline experience. Now we're going to open SteamOS up, and other developer or vendors like Lenovo can get in on that. If they do get into console boxes, I would like to see that continued. Like, I think Valve should set a baseline. Here's what a Steam console is. You can buy this for $300 or whatever it is. I also think I would be excited about it. I love that idea. I think there's just an indie game box for $100, $200 or whatever you could play. It'd be awesome. But I think if that happens, it's more likely to happen whenever the Steam Deck 2 comes around. I don't necessarily think this will happen next year. I agree with Mike. This might be more dev stuff. I think that if Valve got into that, they would want to wait until their next big hardware upgrade. That they've said they're waiting a while to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want that to be something I can plug into a 4K TV and play Steam Deck compatible games at a reasonable frame rate, and we can have upscaling, whatever. I don't care about that. But like Adam and I have done some experimentation with like nuke size boxes, those B-Link SER APU boxes. And you have to, in order to get something that does a bad job at gaming at 4K with upscaling, you're looking at $600, and that's too much, right? Like that feels like too much for that kind of box for me. So then you're relegated to like, how can you do a streaming box, or is there some other option? And I wonder if the hardware, I wonder if the hardware exists to give a good experience at the resolutions that people are going to want in their living room. I think if we were still all 1080p on TVs, this would be a much easier conversation. And I mean, maybe the answer is you run everything at 1080p and upscale it to 4K and nobody notices, but I don't know.
Do you want all the bells and whistles? That's a question.
I love bells and whistles.
Do you want to pay for them though?
No, of course not. No, it's something simple. I want a machine that can run games at 4K with HDR on at 180 frames a second, and I want to pay $50 for it. It's a very reasonable ask. I want Ambernick to get on this.
You are the person Gordon hates.
Yeah, of course. This is why we got along so well.
Oh God.
Darth Monkey asked, "Why do I hate printers?" And I will tell you, it's because printers are invariably bad. Like they're spawn of the devil. They don't work very well. They're designed to extract money from you over a long period of time. The drivers are invariably janky, and they're high maintenance. Lots of moving parts to break.
Laser.
I worked in a professional print shop, and I hate printers, so I think you're entirely justified.
Yeah, my first job was maintaining the imaging lab at a university, and like we had 15 different kinds of printers and plotters, and every single one of them was a pain in my butt in a novel way. So
they just want you to know you care.
My girlfriend has a printer actually, but I never use it because I don't want to get roped into any part of maintenance for that. If I need to print out some black and white papers, I'll go pick them up for 24 cents a Staples.
That's hilarious.
Just to keep me wholly separate from the whole situation. That's hilarious,
especially the way you said it, Brad. Where you're like, my girlfriend has a printer. Like it's like over there. It's like just like this distant experience that you're trying to keep as far away from you as possible.
No, it's 3 feet away from me. I've never touched it since it's been in this house.
Hilarious.
If you need a printer, and some people need printers. I do a lot of D&D stuff, and we need like to physically print stuff out. We get a lot of review units coming in and out. Got to ship them back. There's a $100 laser printer that Brother makes. That's the one that everybody loves. You see it on our site, and lots of other sites say, "Hey, this is the printer you need if you just absolutely have to print stuff. Go get that one." It's very reliable. It connects via Wi-Fi. It's a pain in the butt to do it the first time, and then you never have to think about it again. And the best part is that single cartridge that it comes with will print 300 pages. You can buy a cheap one on Amazon for $50 that'll last you another 2 years. Go for it.
I love my printer, and I think it's partially because I always put a little offering to the gods before I use it. So I think it's working out so far. It's working out so far. It's just a little incense, like a little bit of fruit.
That's why in Taiwan you put in the guai guai. That's why everyone in Taiwan puts a guai guai on top of the box.
I mean, Taiwan goes for like asking it to behave. I'm just like, you're a beautiful piece of hardware. I love you. I want you to last forever. It was also built in 2005, so I think there's something to be said for a printer that predates the whole like nightmare software driver preventing you from using other cartridges era, because that's
something to be said about Windows too. Like that's super cool. You can use a 20-year-old printer still.
I know.
Look, Cups supports even older printers than that, Brad.
You are on a very strong Linux conversion kick today.
I don't know if you,
before the show started, Will kept saying, "You know what doesn't do the thing that you're complaining about right now? Do you know what customizations I can do?"
You mean Edge forcing itself upon you?
I mean, that sounds like an HR violation.
Okay, it just kept popping up and saying, "Hey, don't you want to use Edge?"
I likened it to that ex-partner that will never fully go away. It's like, hey, you still wanna like come over and hang out? Yeah. Yeah.
So
you sure you really want to be with Chrome?
No, I don't want to be with Chrome. I don't want to be with Chrome either. They're both bad.
What do you see in Firefox? I'm right here.
Look, Firefox is great. It just is getting a little AI pilled. I have Mike's $100 Brother laser printer because I have a child and need to print things, and it is almost entirely inoffensive. At some point, I had to replace my 15-year-old one because it started making a squeaking noise, and I couldn't figure out which of the 1,000 moving parts inside was squeaking, and I took it all the way apart and made my hands super tonered up, and it was not good, and I just took it to e-waste and spent $99 and bought another one, and it's been great. So shout out to Brother, I guess.
Brother.
It's the least bad option.
Go, Brother.
We got a fresh question from the chat from one from the show. Tech Kev asked, any thoughts on how bad the SSD dying on Windows 11 issue is? You guys heard about that?
This is the update, the recent update that's killing SSDs reportedly.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't paid attention to it, if I'm being honest. Mike, if you
they just came out this weekend and said it's not a thing.
Yeah.
So Mike's covered this a lot more.
I mean, that's the thing is, it was originally just a handful of reports, but obviously it's very concerning if you ever hear, hey, this update has killed these people's drives, some of whom had Windows on that particular drive. Their computer is, if not completely bricked, but obviously temporarily disabled to an alarming degree. And there was one particular company that made the drivers, or the what's the word I'm looking for here? The
controller.
Yes, the controller for these particular drives that looked into it. Says, hey, we're checking it out. Microsoft said, hey, we're checking it out. Stay tuned. That took 1 to 2 weeks for everything to go through, and now everybody says, no, this didn't happen. Well, there are some end users who are comparing things and say, yes, it did happen to us in this very particular way when we copied very big amounts of storage. So right now there's a lot of ambiguity going on. There is a problem somewhere. That's about the only thing we can definitively say at this point.
It is. It does seem ultra rare. It does seem like it'd be extremely annoying if that happens. Mm-hmm. Microsoft made specifically the point of saying, sorry, my neighbor just started washing their car right next to my window.
Wow, that's a weird update for Microsoft.
Yeah. Sorry, let me close this for a second.
What does that have to do with SSDs, Brad?
I thought y'all could hear it. I had to slam my window shut real quick. They're using some force on that jet. But yeah, Microsoft said specifically that it's not related to the Windows update that everyone pointed it to. So there still could be something deeper. It is pretty rare. The effects, like the people who have reported it, it seems like you have to have more than 60% of your drive filled and then be moving more than 50 gigabytes of data at once. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you need to be particularly worried about this, especially if you have regular backups like you should. But if you are worried about it and you have more than 60% of your drive full, maybe just try to split up your file transfers if possible, so it's not 50 gigs plus all at once.
What if I need to update Call of Duty?
Well, this sounds actually.
You'd be happy when your SSD dies.
Wow, it's a Battlefield guy. I do think that sounds like more of a problem for people who are doing maybe like freelance work or just work in general. So it's not like it's a non-zero issue. Maybe for us consumers who are just only really using our high-powered rigs as glorified Chromebooks, maybe not so much of an issue.
I'll be honest, though, between Phison coming out and saying we've ran like 20,000 hours on this since this came out 2 weeks ago with tests or something like that, and Microsoft saying, hey, man, we checked this out, too, because that'd be bad. It's good. I actually feel pretty confident that if this is happening, it's an edge case kind of weird thing, and it doesn't happen very often. So it's not something I'd be particularly worried about myself. But if so, again, make your backups. You should be backing up your stuff anyway.
Always, 100%, yes.
The Microsoft announcement says properly updated machines. I wonder if that means drive firmwares, because I feel like drive firmware is one of those things that a lot of people don't ever touch, and kind of rightly so, because it feels like a high risk firmware update. And I wonder if it's a, hey, I have launched firmware on my SSD. Does
the article get into more depth about what quote properly updated means, though?
It does not,
because that's kind of that's a phrase that's doing some work. You know what I mean?
It says the service alert says, I got to sign in to see service alerts. Thanks, Microsoft. Hold on, I gotta authenticate here. Very important. This is two-factor work. Oh, and it even said I'm on Linux, so it's very suspect. Oh my God. Okay, never mind. I can't see this page because I don't have an account that has permission to see this service alert. The service alert, according to Bleeping Computer, said that it was unable to reproduce the issue on up-to-date systems and began collecting user reports with additional details. That's so up-to-date systems is doing a lot of work there, I think.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
There's a big hole that phrase opens up of what that means exactly. So
yeah, because if it means you have like the latest Windows updates, totally fine and kosher. If it means you have to have updated the firmware on all your SSDs,
or even something else that's related.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think as Brad said it best, it's probably the percentage is small, but just be prepared in case it does happen to you. Right.
Yeah.
Back up. Yep. All right. See, from over on Discord here, Great Mighty Daddy asked, hey, seeing reports on AMD 9070 XT cards having power connector melting issues akin from NVIDIA 5000 and 4000 GPUs. Do you think Intel will implement this with Battle Mage or the rumored Celestial series? Hopefully this feature will be available to the masses regardless of whose products is chosen.
You mean the 12 volt 2x6?
I believe so.
Yeah, it was one of the oddball Radeon models that had the 16-pin connector.
Yeah, I mean the TLDR on that, I think from what I saw, we talked about it a little bit last week for potentially have on the show, was that it seemed like a user error potentially. I mean, I still argue that if the connector is so prone to user error that it fails catastrophically, that's still an issue that is to be dealt with. I don't see anybody putting these on cards that don't require more than 450 watts of power from the external power.
Yeah, I agree with that. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, when it comes to Intel stuff for their graphics going forward, the thing that I would worry about is that existing a year from now with all the other stuff going on at Intel. The power connection is not the first concern that comes to my mind when it comes to Intel GPUs, and I've been rooting for them for years.
I feel like GPU compute is so important to huge swaths of the non-consumer compute space right now that if Intel jettisons their GPU division for the third or fourth time, depending on how you count them, that probably means larger issues are afoot.
Toast. They'd be toast.
Yeah.
That's a good angle that I hadn't thought about, Will. That gives me a little more security in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not I mean, anybody who watched the video that Adam and I did for Battle Mage cards earlier this year knows I'm really, really bullish on Intel GPU, and like I'm stoked that they're filling in a real important niche in a kind of good way. So I hope that they hang in.
Yeah, I'm also going to say I'm not too worried about the 16-pin connectors at this point, or 12-volt high power, whatever they're called now. When all the first reports were coming out, obviously was worried about it. But I guess that's my theme for today. Just relax, plug it in right. You'll be okay. I think there's very small chances of your pins blowing up at this point.
I would also add use the cord cable that comes with your PSU.
If you have one.
Yeah, and make absolutely sure that it's actually plugged. Like the failure point is almost always I didn't get it plugged in all the way and some of the pins aren't connected. So more power is going over the other pins than is supposed to happen is my understanding of it. I'm not an electrical engineer, but if you plug it in all the way, it seems like it's generally fine.
Yeah. Like, again, exactly what Brad said. Today's theme seems to be that probably very likely low chance, but doesn't hurt to just double check your cables in this case.
Yeah. Use a password manager, use 2FA, plug in your cables.
We should
back up your system. You're good to go.
We should put all of our desktop PCs inside those battery bags that you use for like drone batteries. Just seal them up in there so then the fire can't get out. Right? That's good.
Yeah, I mean, if you
onto something there,
suffocate the fire.
Yeah. The heat makes it go faster.
Okay, let's see. From friend of the show, Naughty, Noti. Are you guys still excited or even hopeful for VR? For the last couple of years, I found myself not caring much about VR anymore, and I think it's already hit peak and is slowly dying off. Are we going to see another push for VR like Sony, Xbox, or Valve, in your opinion? Should have Norm on this.
I don't think. Well, Norm, I think, is going to bring by some current headsets at some point in the not too distant future. Like Microsoft, the Microsoft is out, right? Mm-hmm. They let their thing die.
Yeah. That was AR too. So
it wasn't. They said it was AR, but like you can say something's AR, and if you can't see through it, it's still not AR in my book.
Yeah. I agree.
There's by the way, if you have one of those Windows mixed reality headsets and you want to keep being able to use it, there's an open source project. I can't remember what it's called, but there was an article.
Rescue again.
Yeah, once again, that kind of revives those and gives you a layer between the hardware and Steam VR, so you can still use those headsets in Steam, which is great. I think until such time as Valve releases new hardware, like a standalone headset, like I would love to see a Steam Deck type hardware with a standalone headset like the Quest from Valve. I don't know that they're ever going to make that because they're making a lot of money with Steam Decks right now.
I was real bullish on it a couple of years ago, and I have enjoyed my Meta Quest 2 quite a lot. But for full VR that is just completely obscuring your view, there's only so much you can do with it. Even in terms of games, there's only so many ways that makes sense as an interactive medium. I, for many, many years, have been looking forward to full augmented reality, and there's a lot of people who are pinning their hopes on that, most notably Meta. But I haven't seen any of the technology really come to fruition. Like Will said, if it's not giving you a visual interface, I don't think it's augmented reality. They want to stick cameras on there and talk to you via their what they're calling an AI system, but that just hasn't presented me anything that really compels to me as a use case. And I've looked into it a lot because like I said, I'm bullish on this, but just sticking a camera on my glasses doesn't give me anything that I really want. I want the HUD interface, the video game interface for my life. And I don't know if I would trust that anymore for these companies that want me to have it, but I haven't even seen them been able to deliver it. I don't think they'll be able to deliver it within the next 3 years. And I also think that Valve is probably the company that is closest to giving us a killer app for VR, like something that was Half-Life Alyx level. It's got to be one step above that. And for Valve right now, I'm not sure it's a priority. I would agree with you entirely, Will.
I mean, Deckard News leaks, right?
Yeah, but for a company that's making so much money and specifically so much profit that Valve is, like, they can dip their toes into that just to have something on the back burner without having to worry about it too much, maybe without even an intention of bringing it to market within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I was big on VR early. Like I have the Oculus DK1 dev kit. I have the first Gen 5 and I loved it. Like I had my grandmothers over, we're showing them the blue, Valve's archery demo and stuff like that. And it was awesome and I loved it. But over time, I just used it less because the way that I play games and stuff in my house, and the same with the MetaQuest headset, like on a bus or something, I personally like to try to be social. Like when we're playing games at the house, it's to watch it on the TV and everyone's, oh man, hit that door, go slash behind that waterfall. There's a secret item, stuff like that. And it was just hard for me to get that with VR. So I actually super love VR. If I was single, I would probably use VR all the time. But it just doesn't work for my lifestyle.
I liked VR so much I quit my job and started a VR company. Like I was pretty excited about it. By the way, the thing that makes Windows mixed reality headsets work is called the Oasis driver. It's on Steam. You can download it. It's out. I feel like Facebook, now Meta, did a real disservice when they started funding like what would effectively be like a AA type console game, like a big budget console game that had absolutely no hope of recouping its spend. so that they were building a false market of these like console-like games for VR. And they did it for the first like 3 or 4 years, where they were spending $20 million on games that would sell like $500,000 revenue, $1 million revenue, just because there weren't that many headsets in the world. So they built an expectation that that's what VR gaming was like for a large number of people. And then when the money spigot turned off, and Zuckerberg got interested in making weird guys that in social spaces instead of video games, then all of a sudden the whole market has kind of collapsed as a result. And we're back to where we were in 2015, 2016, where people are making like weird indie games, which I love. Like I love weird indie games. But we're not going to see another game like Alex or like I can't remember the name of their space football thing that Oculus did. But like there's just no, if somebody's not spending the money to make those high dollar, high art impact games that they're never going to see a recoup on, we're not like I can't go out and raise $5 million even to make a VR game, which is a pretty modest budget for a 3D modern game these days. Like
Yep.
VR budgets are like $300,000, $800,000, maybe $1 million at the absolute outside.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very full circle episode, because I feel like what you were talking about earlier with the principle we were talking about with like open source, right? Looking for that inflection point. I feel like VR was one of those things where it just never could reach that point. You just never got enough traction, either because of the technology implementation or its applications or just the buy-in. It just never reached that point. And so kind of like for me, to answer the question, I was never really in on VR. I belong to the camp of people who got very, very motion sick with the early headsets. And I actually talked with the Oculus creators about it. And they were like, yeah, sorry, it's just kind of a function of like, if you have a lot of like really good like spatial awareness in your body, this like really messes with that. And so then your brain just like as a result. And I know it has improved some, but it's never had such a killer app that would have compelled me to go back to it. And I think I kind of have similar vibes around AI, honestly. Like with it, it's a cool technology that people are searching for a use case for, as opposed to the opposite, that it's born from having to address a use case. We had a similar vibe for me, like with 3D TVs, right? VR is the only one that got enough traction that I think it's gonna keep living on as long as people keep feeding it, and I just don't know how long that's gonna last.
There's enough of an audience for VR stuff that there's a bunch of weird niche hardware producers that are making like 10,000 units of a headset that it'll keep going indefinitely just for the social stuff, I think. But I think the difference is that VR was there were a bunch of nerds that were really enthusiastic about VR, myself included. And I think on the AI side, it seems like the people who are writing the checks that are enthusiastic about the AI, because they're like, hey, what if we cut down on the number of checks that we have to write to people every month, right? What if we can replace 10 engineers with 1 engineer and a few $1,000s of AI credits a month? And like, but then in practice, it seems like it's not landing as well. Like the output isn't as good. So anyway,
I mean, funny
when
how that works.
When it comes to consumer stuff, I think it's important to note that Apple, of all companies, tried this and they couldn't make it stick. So I'm thinking maybe the vision is the VR equivalent of the Apple Newton. And in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, we will have both the technology and the desire to make this really click, and we will see something transformative. I do think that's going to happen. Obviously, it's not now, and it's not in the near future. So.
I think the jury's still out on whether Apple V1s are always bad. So I'm curious to see if they get to a V2 on that one.
All right. Let's do one more, and we'll get lunch. So let's see here. Oh, okay. From Pyrocumulus, friend of the show, asked, "Are we ever going to see an all aluminum ATX case manufactured ever again?"
I mean,
any fans?
I don't have a crystal ball, so I mean, ever again? Possibly.
Do you think that question is like, is the steel part of the chassis, like it's aluminum exterior of the steel chassis, is that the complaint, or do you think it's like the wood and stuff like that on like a Fractal North or something like that?
I mean, I read that as an interpretation of current U.S. tariff issues, right? Because it's going to make it so prohibitively expensive that it wouldn't make sense for us in the U.S. to see it again. I don't know where they're based. I thought maybe the U.S.
Look, we're gonna go out. We're gonna collect a bunch of cans, and then we're gonna dig some holes in the beach.
We can get
and we're gonna cast.
Maybe get teenage engineering on this.
Yeah, there you go.
And we do like a flat pack version of it.
We're gonna do lost PLA casting.
Or you know,
for
honestly,
cases.
have you? I mean, I don't know how many people listening will know what I'm talking about, but there was like a period where people used to make like bags and purses from like recycled like snack bags. So like the little bags that you would open for chips and stuff. They would like wash them, clean them, and like create these like woven bags from it. And I'm wondering, like, maybe that's what we do with the aluminum cans. Like, we just save a bunch of your Diet Coke cans, their Pepsi cans. We just make an all caffeine.
I'm not ever putting a Pepsi can in my computer case, Elena.
Yeah. Just start selling home-sized smelters for people.
Yeah.
Make your own stuff.
Make your own.
Look, it's pretty. You can make an aluminum smelter with a 5-gallon drywall mud bucket and a little bit of concrete. So
is that going to be on one of the extra edition episodes?
I mean, I don't think Luis is going to let us run the smelter on the back porch, but on the balcony.
We'll take it out on the terrace.
Yeah, we can give it a try.
If you did want all metal chassis, you unfortunately can't just buy the case. You also have to buy a system with it. But the Falcon Northwest Frad box is all steel or aluminum. So if you're looking for that heavy metal experience, that's a way to go. But you'll pay for it.
I feel like there's a lot. Like I feel like if you want to find a old school Leon Lee or Cooler Master or Silverstone style aluminum chassis, I bet you can find that, but you might have to dig into the used market.
I mean, I think they're talking about if we're going to see new cases produced, and I would say in the near future, probably not, due to multiple factors. Right, the trend has been away from, because I actually talked about this with Height in my interview with them last month, which is, they see cases as fashion now, and I largely agree with that, because at this point we've moved beyond it just being if you want literally just a house for your parts, you could just do Dave Murphy's cardboard.
Don't encourage him.
I'm going to. But now you can get something beautiful. You can get something sleek. You get something with fabric. You have all these different options. And I think between the cost of materials for aluminum and also that the trend has been away from all these, just sleek metal boxes, I think it'd be a while before we saw it again as something that feels fresh and, interesting and, different. Would I say it would never happen again? No, I think we would see it again at some point because fashion always cycles. But when that time would be, who knows?
I think that's the right answer. Never say never.
Yes, that's a much better way of encapsulating.
I love novel materials though. I feel like aluminum was an interesting 20 years ago because it was a novel material. I love.
So bamboo?
Bamboo, I'm down for bamboo. I love the, is it the Mood? Is that the tall fractal case with the cloth exterior? Like I'm not going to build something in that probably, but it's a neat, that's a good vibe.
I think the Alice case, which is similar, the whole mesh idea. Or fabric.
We've got two trends going right now that I want to see combined. We've got a bunch of retro-inspired devices that are using transparent plastic in the Nintendo fashion, and we've got a bunch of screens on the inside of PCs. I want somebody to make me a 3-foot-tall Game Boy Color that is a gaming PC.
I love it.
Give me that. What is it? The atomic purple? Yes, give it to me, please.
You know what? To riff on this idea. So at CES, 5 years ago, there was that, I forget, was it Main Gear who did that all-in-one gaming machine. I don't even want to call it a PC because it also had
it had an Xbox and a PlayStation,
a Nintendo Switch built in and stuff like that. That
was Origin.
This could it's Origin. Okay, thank you. Yeah. And this could be like that where you basically have all these screens for these additional systems, while you also have the PC in there too. I love it.
I think,
Mike. Let's get on this.
I think Adam and Gordon did a video on that one CES. I didn't get to go. That was my first year.
There's a couple years they went with it. Yeah.
I think Gordon at one point called it a Wii instead of a Switch. So
that was very Gordon.
These combination machines have been made going back to the PS2 and N64 era. So
yeah. Yep. People used
one of my favorite cases.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Brad.
One of my favorite cases I ever had, and actually one of my favorite moments on our YouTube channel was the Project Snowblind by Power that had the screen on the side.
Oh,
we did the build, and then we played Super Meat Boy on the side of the case.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
That was fun.
Was it fast enough?
That got sent to me. I unfortunately don't have it anymore, but it got sent to me, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, it was great. The whole side panel, like pretty much, was just a screen.
I want more weird screens in places. I want more novel materials. I want It's funny. I had this conversation with Raul Sood, who was at Voodoo at HP 100 years ago now. It seems like, but I want computers. I love my RGB'd up gaming PC in my office, but I also would love to have something that looks like a piece of grown up furniture that I can put in the living room, or someplace that I don't necessarily want something that looks like a gaming PC with a bunch of RGB and flashy lights and stuff. So.
Yep. Oh yeah. Totally. I also talked about that with Height as well, where it's like the idea of cases becoming more like how those like hi-fi systems in the 50s and 60s, right?
Yeah.
Like they were meant to blend in with your furniture decor, look like harmonious with everything else you had in there.
I want a PC that looks like the Heathkit stereo that my parents had in the 70s.
Well, I feel like Fractal Design and a lot of the similar stuff are getting onto that with their, the wood paneling and all those cases.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I've got one sitting right here, and I really like it.
Yeah, they have a nice range of, hey, here's stuff that looks like gamer business. Here's stuff that looks like something a grown-up would own. Here's something that looks like it could be just like in your living room and not super offensive. So,
oh gosh,
I realize I'm juxtapositioning it a little bit because I've got my nice Fractal Design wood panel case here, and I've got a bunch of Pokemon crap behind me. So, I get it. Please don't at me.
I'm going to be at you in a sec, Mike.
Can I tack on one last question since we were talking about cases?
Yeah, go for it.
Friend of the show, Liquid R, asked us, what would you rate your cable management for your home setups? I feel like this is relevant when we're talking about cases. So we'll just squeeze that in real quick. And I want everyone to know, if you're not on our Discord server, you should be, because everyone there is super cool and laid back and it's like a really great conversation. It's very chill. I answered this question with the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil monkey emojis.
Can I plead the fifth on this? When I set up my desk, I put like a tray underneath the back. I have these K-Blocks things that like provide good routing. And then, time passes, tech debt builds up, the cables, there becomes a layer of cables and then another layer on top of that and another layer. I need to declare cable bankruptcy at home and start from scratch, basically. So that's one of my projects for if I ever have a free afternoon or maybe day. But it's bad. My bad. I'm a 1.5 stars. Are we out of 10 or out of 5?
You get to pick.
I'm 2 out of 10.
2
out of 10. I'm bad. I have great shame and legacy cruft in cables that I don't know. Honestly, the big problem is that if I pull a USB-C cable out of my snarl back there, I'm like, is this a good one or is this a power one or is this a bad one? I have no way of knowing other than to plug it into my Linux computer and hook it up to something that's USB 3.2. So Linux will be like, yo, this is this is a bad cable for this thing you plugged in. Shout out to Linux.
How about you, Mike?
Well, I've been using standing desks for many years because I have back problems. And one of the things about using a standing desk is you have to have very precise cable management so that as few cables as possible are moving when you go up and down. And between that and just general aesthetic vibes, I would say that my personal work/gaming desktop is an 8 or a 9 because I really like looking at things and not seeing cables, and I'm very careful, very particular about that. But after that little self-pat on the back, I'm going to admit that I build my PCs with, making them look like refrigerators. I don't do any of the transparent stuff. I don't do any of the RGBs. So inside, it's maybe a 5 or a 6 as far as cable routing is concerned. But, just sitting here looking at my desk, it looks pretty nice, I got to say.
Oh, I didn't know we were talking about inside.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the inside.
Oh, no, inside I'm like a 9.5. I'm tidy. It's all cinched down. I got zip.
You're living a life of extremes.
Reusable zip ties in there. I don't even bother that Velcro.
No. I'll use this and say if you're looking into standing desks, mount your desktop PC underneath it, and then the way you do that, as it moves up or down, if you got it right, you might have one power cable and maybe one Ethernet cable that needs slack to move, and that's all you got.
I have one HDMI too that goes to my PlayStation, but that's it. And it makes the up and down life a lot easier. Well, it goes back and forth. So
I am the anti-mic. My desk is a friggin' disaster. There's things snaking out of my laptop here, all kinds of stuff. There's Imodium and coffee cups and water bottles all over the place. But damn, do my PCs look good. I actually spent a bunch of money, like $300 or $400 a few years ago, to get it's a metal Fantex case that has the glass panels on both sides, actually.
Ooh.
And I got that to be able to really have to dedicate myself to figure out how to wire stuff in the back too. And it turned out looking swell. And it gave me the skills I need that now whenever I do stuff up, it looks good. Like, I'm a huge fan of battle stations and, PC MR and, here's my first build and all that stuff. And I just like being part of that culture.
Nice.
Elena?
Oh, I guess I have to answer for real.
Yeah.
I think I'm closest to Will on this, where like the insides of my PC are tidy. They're not always beautifully routed, depending on the build, but they're tidy. And my surrounding desk area goes through, shall we say, waxing and waning periods of tidiness. So like Mike, I actually do have a standing desk set up, and I have like probably at least 10 different power packs that I have to deal with because of all the stuff at my desk. So I have cable management like trays that everything's like on and routed and tidy, so that when the desk goes up and down, I don't have a bunch of like cables just showing and pulling everywhere. The top of the desk isn't always matching those things.
Look, the top of the desk is a work area. That's where the work happens.
That can always get
It's hilarious though, because when I worked at an office, I was actually known for being one of the tidiest people. And there's something about having a workspace, dedicated workspace, like at an office, where because it's so dedicated to just my work gear, I have a very particular way of I lay things out. At the end of the day, I put things away. I just like coming into that. When I started working from home, well, the home habits took over, and it's all chaos all the time.
I just reached over and found half of a disposable
3M
hanger.
Commensurate.
Oh yeah.
Why? I have no idea. It's just on my desk.
I've had an impact driver sitting on my desk for about 6 months now.
Because why not?
Well, I hung my PC up underneath the desk,
why not?
and then I didn't take the impact driver back out to the garage to put it back on the charger. So I might need it. It's going to come up again, I'm sure.
Yeah. If we had more time to go off the rails, which I've already done a lot this episode, I would talk about my organizational journey as I've tried downsizing my stash this last month. And I discovered some truths about myself. If you read the newsletter, you will find that I discuss this a bit about the things I learned about myself and my organizational habits. Maybe I'll save this for the pre-show next week when I'm still in charge, filling in for hosting.
Still planning to don the beard. We should trim the beard, actually.
I think we need to trim it a little bit because
we should get you another one,
weird.
because this one seems like it might be used. You might have gotten my $3 worth out of it.
I definitely got your $3 worth out of it.
I just found Anchor USB power strip that I probably bought a year or two ago and forgot about it until right this moment. So my desk is a disaster.
I cleaned my desk a couple of weeks ago, and I found a bunch of USB-C 3.2 cables that I bought. And I bought them and then couldn't find them when I needed them. So then I bought another set of them. So now I have extras. So I'm covered. So they're going to go in a drawer. I printed on the label maker, USB-C 3.2. So I'm good to go.
Doing the Lord's work for yourself, because cable manufacturers won't do it for us. So aggravating.
Future me, you're welcome.
So aggravating. All right. Well, on that cheerful note,
time for lunch.
It is time for lunch. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our episode. Check back next week for your fix of PC hardware talk on possibly another episode of The Full Beard. We'll see. Be sure to subscribe to us on all the different platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Deezer. The whole list escapes me, Will. You put us on some very esoteric ones.
iHeartRadio. It's where podcasts go to listen.
To listen. To survive. Eke out an existence.
Yeah.
Also, if you like our content, if you like the kind of vibes that I specifically bring, you'll want to check out the newsletter that I write every week for PCWorld.com. You can go to PCWorld.com/newsletters/sign up and sign up for the full nerd newsletter. I cover a different topic every week. I lightly recap the episode, and I have a bunch of interesting news links that I think everyone else will also enjoy that I've been reading over the course of the week. And the theme always changes every week because human beings are unpredictable. That's it for us. Also, as always, if you like our work and you are subscribed to us on one of the services, leave us a review. Every time you do, one of us is going to tell you a piece of advice that is, don't worry about it, but also just do this thing so you don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
And
that's good advice, but I would say that every time someone likes it, maybe Elena should wear a beard again.
Yeah. Yeah, more beards. The beard is just longer and longer. We keep upgrading the beard. It's next time it's a $5
yeah,
beard.
and then also if you want, come hop on Discord, because we do have a Discord server, as I mentioned just a few moments ago. Let me know if you like this particular look for the beard, or if you think I should try something else. There are definitely some looks that are hard no for me, like the evil Spock look. That's nope.
Wow.
It's just a no for me.
It's because you're the evil Elena and it's the good Elena in the mirror universe?
No, I just think that if I'm going to go full beard, I should go full beard.
That's true.
Right?
And just be mindful that, hey, it's only our particular length. We can't grow it back, but we can trim it down. But yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
How many $3 beards can we experiment on?
I'm pretty sure Adam will give
your
us
suggestions even further for the Amazon algorithm.
This is never going to be as bad as the time that I clicked on the 50-pound bag of Lucky Charms marshmallows by accident. It's like a dump truck size. Anyway. Yeah.
Cool. So, thank you, as always, to Brad for joining us today.
Oh, yeah, no problem. This thing I just found is awesome.
It's over the preview window. Move it to the other side.
To your right side. Your right. Yeah,
there you go.
Oh, that's rad.
Yeah, it's like a nice little anchor. I've been looking for something like this. Apparently, I bought it a year or two ago. So check under your dirty desk.
Good job, past you.
Your past self, taking care of your future, current self. Thank you, Mike, for joining us. Always good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Will, pleasure as always.
Always good. Hey, subscribe to the Dual Boot Diaries. It's wherever podcasts are found.
Yes.
A new episode on Friday where Adam is spiraling down the hardware hole now.
While you're talking, I'm going to do a little show and tell.
He's diving deeper and deeper into the hardware hole. Oh, don't say the thing that I said off air about that.
I'm not going to. But Adam, you left something behind, buddy.
No, he had 3 other laptops that once hardware vendors found out that we were doing a Linux podcast, they were very enthusiastic about sending their Linux SKUs over.
Okay, so
turn it the other way.
So he's got an embarrassment of riches.
It's upside
in terms
down,
of laptops.
the lid. Okay, so it's a System 76 laptop. You left it here. It misses you.
Yeah,
man. Misses you.
I think he took the HP G1A, the Strix Halo one on the trip, but maybe he took a Samsung 16-inch if he was not confident in his ability to run the HP.
That's fair.
So yeah.
But on that note about people who love Linux wanting to talk about Linux, there's great conversations happening in our Discord server and also on the YouTube comments as well. So if you want to talk about all things Linux, this is definitely a place to come find and hang out with your people.
Well, and if you want to learn how to, like the whole point of the show is that we're starting from scratch and we're learning how to do it. And a lot of people are coming along with us, and we have a lot of people who are varying levels of expert that are being very helpful. And it's been a really welcoming, heartwarming experience. At the start of the episode we recorded last week, we were a couple of weeks ahead because of Adam's travel schedule. We talked about it at length, so you'll hear that in a couple of weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And Willis, thank you as always for making sure the hamsters are running and well fed and about to go on strike. Go ahead and take us out of here.
All righty. Thank you, Elena. Thanks for being a good sport and donning the
I've been waiting
beard.
for this.
Yeah. Actually, let me know actually if you're going to keep it for next week because, I was going to shave it off right after the show, but if you're going to keep it on.
We can negotiate full beard terms.
We can negotiate, yeah, because I had a family lunch over the weekend and because I usually don't grow it out. And so my mom went full auntie and just like, why do you look like Beep? And I'm just going to say Beep because, just don't worry about the Beep. So, Mom, love you. But let me know then. We'll think about if we'll have another full beard episode. So, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye.